What's up? What's up? All right, so today's discussion is you have struggled with faith because you have felt alone for so long. All right, I want to focus on the faith aspect, the letting go aspect, the detachment aspect. And this really just stemmed from a beautiful conversation that I just had. But let me make sure I'm live on everything. We get started. All right, so I'm going to start with this intro, and then we're going to get into it. And I'm really pretty free for the rest of the day, so we're going to stay on here for a long time till the phone dies, right? So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We can talk about them. But we are going to talk about faith today. And I want to challenge y'all, man. When you get into this manifesting space, you think that you want the car and the relationship, but truly deep down, you don't want to feel alone. You want to feel as if you are going through this journey alone. And oftentimes, because of society, we get to a point where we do feel alone. We feel alone in this world. We've struggled to connect with the Creator before. We might have struggled to connect with parents, with friends, with former relationships. And now we are seeking this path so we can feel the love, so we can understand that we are not alone. And that is why it can become very difficult to relax into faith, to allow your desires to unfold. Because allowing your desires to unfold would mean you would have to trust that you are not alone, that you're actually loved, that you are cared for. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about letting go of that illusion of lack. All right. This is also why the programming is the way it is. We seem to be at war in a lot of areas. Religions, warring against religions, men versus women, this generation versus older generations. It's as if you're always placed in this state of mind where you feel alone, you feel isolated. And when we bring that to our manifestation, we bring that to our journey with the Most High, it could be easy to think that we're alone. It can be very difficult to lean on faith. All right. So before I ramble too much, let's get into it, and we're going to hit all of these topics. All right. So to fall into faith is to receive the love that you have been longing for. All right. We come into this life reaching for things, right? Bright dreams, promises, moments that make us feel alive again. We name them manifestations: love, success, healing, purpose. But underneath every desire is a whisper too quiet to name. A longing not for things, but for home. For the sacred assurance that we are not alone in this vast and aching universe. That something greater walks with us. That love, not lack, is the true ground we stand on. How many of us truly feel that we could simply let go right now and be carried by the divine? How many of you believe that the Most High is close enough where you could drop all your guards, drop all of your work, drop all of your worries, and simply relax into that kind of faith? Now, maybe you can, maybe you can't. But I would challenge you, right? If you cannot, have you ever been able to lean into that faith with anything in your life? With parents, have you ever been able to lean into that unconditional faith? That they would not judge you for something, that they would always be there? With a significant other or a spouse in your relationships, have you always been able to lean into that? With a coach, with a family member, with your friends, with your sibling? Is there anything in your life that you have been able to lean into and relax with 100% faith, knowing that they have you? For most of us, the answer is no. So of course, when we get into this space, it's going to be difficult for me to think, it's one thing for me to relax into something that I can see. But if I've never had this experience and I'm searching because I want to go through this world and I do not want to feel alone anymore, it's going to be very difficult for me to relax into that faith with the Most High. Okay, so let's continue to break this down. All right, so this is not going to be a conversation about getting more. right? This is a call to return, to soften into the divine current that has always been holding you, to realize that what your soul has truly been seeking all along isn't the manifestation, it's the love behind it. It's the feeling of being seen by God, held by the unseen, and carried not by force but by faith back into the unity that you never truly left. This is what you're really looking for. This is what we're all really looking for, right? Take away the things, take away the car and the relationship and the money that you want. When you really think about that desire of receiving something, knowing that it flowed into your life because of the Most High, what you're really looking for is love. This is why we go down the spiritual path at all, right? This is why we try to get close to this Creator. It's to feel this love that your soul longs for, to know that you are not walking through this experience alone. That is the ultimate goal. That is the waking up of that Christ consciousness, right? That is the true fulfillment that you are longing for. This is the true fulfillment that puts you in alignment with everything that you want, is this longing, okay? So a return to unity and the faith to feel it, all right? Manifestation or love, what we are really searching for, okay? So we come into this space, this journey of awakening, of seeking, of vision boards and affirmations with our hands stretched outward, asking, yearning, declaring. We say we're looking for the dream house, okay, the soulmate, the financial breakthrough, the body healed, the business booming, the calling clarified. But beneath all of that, beneath the surface of every I want, is a deeper ache, a longing not just to receive, but to remember. To remember that we are not alone, to return to the knowing that we are held, right? And to fall finally into the infinite embrace of love itself, okay? So one reflection question, then we're gonna dive deep into that, right? Is, are you manifesting from fear of being unsupported or from trust in divine love? What are you aiming for? With most of your desires, does it come from this fear of being alone, of not being supported, or does it come from trust in divine love? One thing I would challenge you, if you're struggling with faith, is make the purpose of your next meditation to be touched by the Most High. Go into your next meditation without any kind of intention to get something, without asking for anything. But simply go in and let your body do what your body does. Let your mind do what it naturally does. Let your soul drift off to where it does. Set an hour on your clock and just sit there and just focus on your breath. Anytime a thought comes up, just push it to the side. Just go back to your breath. Just focus on that empty space behind you and allow your mind to just do what it does. And if you do have any intention for this, ask the Most High to show you how much He loves you. Ask the Most High to give you a feeling, an idea of the love that you have. Because I will tell you, and this is a thing that I constantly see when we start digging into why, I've been doing all these techniques and I've been trying to stay positive, why nothing's changing. It's because you've never been able to fully trust anyone in your life. So of course, now when you get to this invisible force that guides and directs all of reality, it's difficult. When we believe that, this is one of the things that, separation gives us the illusion of, is because whenever we think something is separate from us, we believe we have to perform to get its validation. That's why Jesus says, if you believe the kingdom of heaven's in the sky, you'll think the birds are closer. If you think that the kingdom is outside of you, and we all know the kingdom is within you, when you think that the Most High is outside of you, it's very, very easy for us to start believing that, this God only hears certain things. Only hears if I directly make the intention to fold my arms and get on my knees and specifically ask for something. But coming back to the remembrance that this God within you is closer than your thoughts, it's closer to you than you are to yourself, closer to your breath, closer than your breath, closer than your memories, closer than than you. Right? This is when we can truly start to relax into faith. Okay? This is when we can truly start to relax into faith. So we think that we're chasing manifestations, but truly we are chasing connection to the source, to love, to something that tells us you are safe now and you are seen. And I actually had that conversation with someone because what they had heard from what I had said in a previous talk was I talked about the Virgin Mary experience that you can go through from a metaphorical sense, right? Is you are alone, and no matter what's going on in your life, the Most High impregnates you with a desire, okay? So since you are God, since God is within you, you are within God, you cannot separate one from another. Your desire is the same as God telling you what he wants to experience through you. All right? So we receive this desire. We are impregnated with this desire. And no one else has to give us this desire. No one has to feed this to us. No one has to help with it. And then we walk through life for the amount of time it takes to come into fruition or come into manifestation. You know, outside circumstances could look like they're against it, but you stay the faithful course. People say they're trying to kill your manifestations. Nobody believes in you. It's just you and the divine. And then you give birth to this thing. This thing comes into your life and it's purely based on thought. Purely based on your thought. And then you have this awakening that you were never a victim. That you were never alone. That God has been within you, working for you, orchestrating everything your entire life, and you are never the same. Right? But what about getting to that point? What about actually relaxing into the faith and knowing that you're not alone? Especially if you've been through circumstances in your life where you've been, I hate to say forced, but before you were conscious, you've been through situations that made it more difficult to trust, more difficult to open up. We don't all have ideal relationships with our parents, where they're truly places of peace. We don't all have good relationships, right? We don't all have good relationships with the church. Some of us probably rarely have picked up the Bible, rarely have picked up any spiritual text. So this concept of a creator has always seemed distant. So when I'm coming into this and I can't trust humans, but now I have to trust something greater than me, I have to trust something that I cannot see, it can be very difficult. Very difficult. Right? But it is only in actually making an attempt to contact this source that you can actually get that feedback. Because I'll tell you, man, this is the true definition of unconditional love, is that your entire life has been a reflection of you. Every situation that you've walked through has been a reflection of you. So everything that you ask for, directly, consciously, and unconsciously, has came into manifestation. And the Most High has stayed within you. So close, so loving, doesn't matter if you acknowledge him or not, has just reflected everything outside of you. So you can confront yourself, learn who you are, and then change your expectations to get better. This is true unconditional love. This is no judgment. This is without tests. This is without judgment. This is purely a yes. A level of unconditional love that as humans we cannot fathom. We don't call unconditional love always saying yes and not judging. We call that being dumb. But this is the unconditional love that the divine has for you, right? So it's never a question of, is source close to me? It's always a question of, am I allowing this source within me? So if you're struggling with faith, the challenge is don't just focus on thinking about what you want. Okay? Actually try to make contact with this source within you. What you'll notice is that if you can set an hour and you can fight against yourself for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, you can get to a point where you do relax into a stillness within yourself, a natural state of stillness. And after this stillness, you might start having small impulses to do things. You might start receiving answers to certain issues that you're having, right? And it sounds mystical. It if you never tapped in before. It could sound mystical. It could sound, a little woo-woo, right? But once you tap into this source, what you'll realize is this voice, this guidance system has always been within you. And it's only when you can turn down the noise on the ego, which is always trying to judge, which is always trying to say this is right and wrong. It's only when you can get behind that you can hear that quiet, still voice that loves you more than you love yourself, that looks out for you more than you could ever look out for yourself, that knows infinitely more than you could ever know. And if you don't make contact, I can see how it would be difficult to truly put your faith in this, right? But once you start making these active attempts, what you'll realize is that faith is a muscle. Okay, just like discipline is a muscle. You do not walk into the gym for the first time in your life and pick up a weight. And it's easy. You can't go in the first time and pick up a 100-pound weight. You're gonna have to build yourself up to it. So the first time you pick up smaller weights, you get stronger. It's just the same with faith. Do not think of faith as something that, you just turn the switch on. One day you just walk by faith, not by sight. Think of this the same way that you think of everything else in your life. Okay? Everything else in your life, think of it the same way. You walk through life and you get better. Today you walk with faith for 2 hours, tomorrow for 3, the next day for 1, and then 5. And then eventually you get to the point where you are walking all the time. But before you truly just focus on the things that you want, because the things that you want are always there. They're always unfolding. They're always within you. But the speed of which you can get them is always going to be determined by your faith, by your ability to just sit down and get out of your own way. This is the delay that we were talking about earlier today. A lot of us delay things because we don't have faith. There's only one way to build faith, and you build that faith by actually actively working on it, going within that silence. How often do you do that? Okay. Now, how often do you actually utilize the power of that divine within you in the small aspects of your life? Not just on one big thing, one big relationship, one big outpouring of money, but the work day that you have today. Do you decree how you want it to be? With authority. Do you begin to speak the power of the Most High into every aspect of your life? You treat every aspect of your life as a different segment where God is flowing through it. Or are you just hyper fixated on one thing? You are completely forgetting, ignoring the miracle of your life. If God does not provide this one thing, but you have no evidence, faith without works is dead. One of the ways you could look at this is you got to work on your faith. One way you could look at it, right? Because we know Scripture is multidimensional. But anything without work, right? It's not a one day you wake up and boom, all of a sudden your faith is perfect. Right? Work on it. This is going to be the greatest relationship that you have in your whole life. No one will ever be closer to you than you are to you. No one will ever be closer to you than the God within you is to you. It doesn't matter if you get that dream relationship. Y'all could have the perfect relationship from today until the day that y'all both pass. You could pass on the same day. They will never know you like you know yourself. And you will never know yourself like the God within you understands you. So this is the number one relationship that you need to cultivate. And how divine would it be to finally get to a point where you could trust something? You haven't been able to trust your parents, haven't been able to trust your friends, haven't been able to trust the past people you've been in relationships with, haven't trusted your teachers, haven't trusted anything in your life. And then you just get into this space and you hear, okay, have faith, and you don't even know what faith is because you've never had it. This is the one thing that you can trust. It's yourself, right? It is the God within you. But if you do not cultivate that, if you don't actually try to build that faith within yourself, it's going to be very difficult, okay? So we think we're chasing manifestations, but truly We are chasing connection to the source, connection to love, to something that tells us you are safe now and you are seen. And this is the greatest illusion that we must pierce through, that we must struggle and strive to earn what can only be received through surrender. We've been taught our entire life that the way is in the struggle. The reward is in the struggle. It's in the hustle, right? You had to earn your parents' validation. You had to earn the grades at school. You had to earn the performance reviews at work. You had to earn the salvation in church. But the truth is that God is within you, so you could never be unworthy. Just the fact that you are trying to work to be worthy is communicating that you don't believe you're worthy. Being worthy is simply a choice. It's simply a choice that, yes, you are in alignment with who you are. You could never be any more worthy than you are right now. You could never be any less worthy than you are right now. The only person that is stopping that, it's you. It's you putting your worthiness through the filter of your ego, because your ego believes in work. Your ego believes, I have to conjure up this feeling to be worthy. But feelings change. Feelings change. The example we gave earlier today was, if today's your birthday and you go from 28 to 29, there's no difference in feeling. It's simply a statement. Okay, I'm 29. If you believe that you are 28, if you make a mistake and say, oh no, I'm 28, you can immediately say, oh no, I'm tripping. I'm 29 now. It's just the same way that you have to assume that you are worthy. It's not a feeling. Your infinite love, the God within you, can never be anything less. So it's not a feeling of love that you bring up, because love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. Love is a verb. Okay, it's a choice. Being worthy is not a feeling. It's just a choice. It's an assumption. All right? You simply make it the same way that you snap your fingers. You say, I am love. I am worthy. And you are. It doesn't matter how you feel. Feeling has nothing to do with worthiness. Okay? Feeling has nothing to do with love either. Okay? So we struggle. We believe that we must struggle and strive to earn what can only be received through surrender. Because God is not a vending machine. Okay? He is a presence, a field of love that we are meant to fall into and not negotiate with. And this is what holds a lot of people back when it comes to this manifestation, is believing that they can bargain with the universe. If I can somehow maintain this feeling and suppress my negative thoughts, then I can get what I want. Because a good feeling is the secret. I must have this feeling of happiness because that must mean alignment. No. It's never worked before, so how come we are fooled into thinking that works now? Right? If feeling was a secret, then everyone who walked around feeling good would have everything that they want. That's not the case. Feeling has very little to do with anything. Feeling is just energy running through your body, an emotional response to what your ego perceives of these circumstances that are always changing. The circumstances always change. Every moment they're different. Every single moment the circumstances are different. Every single moment your feelings could be different. This has nothing to do with your worthiness or who you are. You're the constant, unchanging presence behind it. Right? Your worthiness isn't attached to a feeling or to a circumstance. Your worthiness isn't attached to your bank account. It's not attached to the type of woman you have. It's not attached to any of that. You simply are worthy because you breathe oxygen. You breathe consciousness, so you are worthy. Okay? And the only thing, this is why Neville said, right, the only thing keeping you from getting the things that you want is you refuse to assume that you already are that person. Because we think that to be this person that is in alignment and is worthy, that means that I must do some kind of work. No. You couldn't even desire something if you were not in alignment with it. It's an assumption. An assumption is not a feeling. An assumption doesn't take work. An assumption is just a choice right here, a choice. The same way that the day you turned 28, you were 27 the day before, you woke up, you were 28, you feel different? No, it was simply a choice. It was simply an assumption. It is just simply a statement that you make in your mind that you hold on to. You assume it. Your name is an assumption. right? It's not a feeling. It doesn't matter how you feel, your name is your name. Right? I think we overcomplicate how simple, an assumption is. But we hear of assumption and a feeling, we think emotions, and we think conjuring up these things when it's not about that at all. An assumption is an assumption. It's a quote unquote mere assumption is the word never used, right? A mere assumption. A mere assumption, just a simple assumption. It doesn't get any more simple than an assumption, but how long can you hold that assumption? Does your assumption waver with feelings? So when we're talking about wavering, we're not talking about your feelings. We're talking about the assumption wavering. Do you believe that just because you are sad, all of a sudden you're unworthy? Just because you're sad, you're out of alignment. Just because it's a gloomy day outside, it's a difficult day, just because you got angry, you're not worthy. What do you tie your worthiness and your alignment to? It's all about your assumption. You make the rules. If you were the type of person who just went through life the same way, the only thing that changed was your assumption that you're always worthy, always in alignment, you never wavered from that, you would get everything you want. Okay? It is about your wavering. Okay? But that brings us all the way back around to the last point, right? Because of course it's difficult to believe that we're worthy if we've always had to work for it. Right? You didn't have that much faith in your parents, but you always had to work for their approval. Why would God be any different? Right? You didn't have that much faith that your teacher was always going to help you, or that the last relationship you were in, they were going to be there for you, and you always had to work for that. So why would God be any different? This is the illusion that the world puts over us. Okay, this is why it seems difficult for a lot of people to tap into their divinity, to tap into the source within them, even though it's the most natural thing for you to do. It's because you've been programmed to go the different way, the opposite way. Instead of going right into who you are, we've been programmed to go left. And we just go left over and over again. We believe work is the way, that trying is the way, that worthiness is a feeling. And it's not, it's who you are. It's as natural as breathing. It's as natural as breathing, right? You are worthy because you just are worthy. You are loved just because you are loved. Right? And so no wonder so many people get led down this path of, depression, and because they're doing all the opposite things of believing that they have to work for God's love. God is you. You don't have to work for your own love. And then we're sold these other illusions as well. Like, okay, you have to have gratitude to get the things that you want. You have to show God gratitude. Well, gratitude is just love. Why would infinite love need your love? You are love. Gratitude is for you. It's not for the divine. Gratitude is your natural state of being. To walk around looking at life as a miracle because you are God, and understanding that everything is unfolding from within you. Understanding that the things you don't want, even though they're your expectations and you don't want them, they're unfolding from within you. And this is the divine path that you walk just to get to know yourself. So every step that you take, every moment, whether you want it or not, is unfolding from within you. It's a path of fulfillment, of divinity, of love. It's a path of you realizing that you're all that is. It's a path of you realizing that you're the only thing that there is. Oh, that's poetic. That's poetic as hell, man. Right? So this is the path that we're all walking down. So Psalm 46:10. Okay, be still and know that I am God. Okay, be still so that you can feel. Right? We struggle with love. We struggle with working on our faith because we don't take enough time to be still. You don't take enough time to be still and say, okay, God, I just want to feel your love for a little bit. Right? And this honestly is a place where a lot of people get, and we call this place rock bottom. Why does life have to get us to rock bottom for us to finally surrender? This is the success stories that many people talk about, right? It's like, I did not know what to do. I hit rock bottom. There was nothing else I could do. I had to surrender, and boom, your life takes off. What happened in that surrendering? Right? The key is you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for that. You don't have to wait for rock bottom. Right? You can surrender now. You can surrender now. Right? But do you take time in your day-to-day life to surrender and feel that divine love? To allow that divine love to flow through you and show you that it's always been with you? Or is the only way that you will see it at the end of your manifestation, when you finally get that car that you don't really even want? You just want to feel loved. Right? Well, let me revise that. You do want it. But at the core of it, the feeling that you would have with that car is purely a feeling of, man, I'm not alone. God truly is helping me. Manifestation really is real. God truly does have my back. This is the feeling that you'll have. This is what you're chasing. But if you actually chase that right now and receive that right now, right, you could already be in alignment with the things that you wanted. Okay? Focus on the faith. Right? You don't lack desires. You know exactly what you want. It's not clarity. You're not lacking clarity, and you don't need clarity, because God is you. You are God. You are source. God knows your desires better than you know them. So you're not lacking clarity. Okay? You're lacking faith. That's what a lot of this comes down to, is faith. Right? You want to know, am I doing the technique right? You don't need a technique. You are the technique. You are the power behind the technique. It's not the technique. It's you. It's your faith. It's your inability to let go and let God. It's your belief that this has to be difficult when it doesn't. It should be the easiest, most natural thing that you do. Simply going to the end and saying, no, I already have it. What's more complex than that? It's to walk as if you already have it. And I'm saying it's not a feeling, it's just an embodiment. It's literally just a choice up here. It's like, no. I can be feeling however I want, but I can still say, no, I already have it. It's already mine. What's more difficult than that? So obviously it's not that. Obviously it's not the technique. You can close your eyes and think about the car you want. Think about the woman that you want. Think about the money that you want. You can imagine how you want your bank account to look right now. The house you want to live in, all that. But when it comes to the detachment, when it comes to the faith, that is where we struggle. And all I'm saying is that's a natural thing, because so many of us have struggled to trust people our entire lives. All right? So instead of putting all the conscious effort on the technique and the visualization, put it on the faith. And I'm telling you, the one thing is you meditate, you try to tap in. You ask the Most High to touch you. Number two, you start using the law in every aspect of your life, not just the big things, but everything. Everything. If you lose your keys, how does the law work? The law works that I say, okay, I have found my keys. My keys are not lost. Nothing in the kingdom can be lost. And then what do? You don't just go through and try to find it right there, right? Because that would be the same as wanting this manifestation and then all of a sudden just going and trying to figure out exactly how to get it. You release it. You go do something else for a couple minutes. You let it slip out of your mind. And then you allow it to just show up, as it always does. How do you approach the dinner that you're about to go to? Okay? You say, I'm going to have a good dinner. We're going to tip well. I'm going to have a nice evening with this young lady or young man, whoever you are, right? And then do you worry about having a good time the whole night? No, you let it go. And then you just go into that place and you go with the flow. And then later on that night, you're like, oh shit, I did say that I was going to have a good night. It was a great night. And then you start learning that art of detachment. I don't have to cling to anything. I immediately, when I have a desire, it's the same as me receiving a promise. I don't need to clarify. I don't need to cling. I don't need to start working. Now I simply trust and I flow and I enjoy my life. This is why when we talked about this in the discussion earlier today, I said one of the most powerful affirmations that you can catch yourself repeating all the time is, nah, it's already mine. It's already mine. Now I don't have to worry about this. It's already mine. Take a deep breath, relax. It's already mine. Relax into your body. And then just go about your business with grace and with love. This is your power. Your power is not in the contemplating and the planning, because you're not good at that. Our conscious mind isn't built for that. Our conscious mind is not built for it. Our subconscious mind, our greater, I don't know why I said subconscious mind. The God within us, the God within us is built for that, right? You are just meant, your conscious mind, the only purpose of this mind, this conscious mind, is to go through life in this present moment, look around and say, what do I want to experience more of? What do I not want to experience anymore? Then if I have any desires, I can consciously think of those desires, because the experience might generate a desire within me, and then I just let it go. It's moment to moment. This is the point of your conscious mind, is not to plan. You know, if the point of your conscious mind was to plan, you would make better plans. So many people get stuck in the planning stage. Oh, I just want it to be perfect because it's attached to my name. Good luck. The moment you release that business, that app, that hustle, whatever, the moment you release it, you're going to say, ah, shit, I could have did this better. I could have done this better. Okay, so that is, right? This is the work. This is where the work is. It's faith. Faith is where the work is. How do you balance your chi? I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about it. So I'm going to be on for a long time. Once I get through this, y'all, I've seen a whole bunch of questions. So once I get through this, I'm going to go through questions. I'm going to be on here until the phone dies, man. Okay. So we have to make sure that what we're working on is faith. It's not the techniques. It is not the techniques. The techniques are not holding you back. You don't need a technique. You can literally walk through life and just declare, oh, whatever I desire I have, and that would be it. You don't need a technique. You don't need to visualize. Those things help. We do those things for us to keep us in the state, to clarify our desires within ourselves, for expectation. We do that for fun. This is what you don't affirm and visualize to get things. You do that for fun. You do that just because you're reminding yourself of what you're gonna have. You're already all that is. Okay? So, Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. All right, so be still so that you can feel. All right, when you relax into love, that's when you realize it was never about the thing. It was never about the thing. And you'll realize that once you start getting all these things. It's not about the thing. The thing feels good for a minute, but you're like, God is with me. That's the immediate realization that you have. Is like, oh shit, this works. God is with me. When you get these big things, you just feel like you want to hug yourself. That's your soul wanting to hug you because you're remembering who you are. Think about it. When you receive that thing that you really want, there's no amount of validation that the outside world could give you that would amount to the fulfillment you feel within yourself. The love that you feel within yourself. No one else will be able to congratulate you enough. Nobody. It's not about them. It's always about you. It's about you remembering who you are. It's that, man, I can finally feel seen. I'm not alone anymore. This is what you've been desiring. This is why you came into this manifestation space. This is why you go down the spiritual path, period. Any religion, don't care where you go. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for love. You're looking for connection. You're not just looking for things. Things are a part of it. They're nice. But you are all that is. You are source. God is within you. There's no amount of material things that could ever satisfy you. You want to remember who you are. You want to remember who you are. You're all that is. No amount of cars will ever fulfill you. They feel good for a moment, then they get old, and you go back to wanting more, because this is your infinite nature, is to expand. So if we're just chasing things, thinking our fulfillment is out there, your fulfillment comes from understanding that you are source. And once you have that fulfillment, it's like, oh shit, now I really don't have to need anything anymore. I don't really desire too many things anymore. You'll realize that the number one desire you have from creating, those things are nice, and you'll still want to create more. But the number one thing that you want to realize, that your soul yearns for, is to know yourself as a creator, as the creator. This is what you want. You want to know yourself as the divine, point blank, period. You want to know you're not alone. You want to know that you are co-creating with your source, with you. So when you relax into love, that's when you realize it was never about the thing. It was about the reunion, a return to unity, a return to being seen by the divine, to walking with God and not toward him. You were never abandoned. You were never doing this alone. You only needed the faith to relax. This is why the world tries to beat and program faith out of you. Who can you turn to in this world? The politicians lie, right? The religious influencers lie, right? Even your parents sometimes lie. Men and women are against each other. It's just us against them. It's always an us versus them mentality with everything. Employees versus boss. Co-workers against different group. It's always this us versus them mentality. You're always seen as separate. Even when you go into religion, it's heaven versus earth. It's there versus here. Okay? So it's very difficult for us to fall into this unity, to fall into trust with anyone here, let alone with an invisible force that we cannot see, that we think is out there, right? That we believe we have to beg and plead to, and sometimes they respond to us, right? We've read the scriptures, and sometimes things can be contradictory, right? Verily, verily, I say to you, whatsoever you ask in the Father's name will be given to you. This clearly says, whatever you ask. Then on the other hand, it says, oh, well, you didn't receive it because it's not in alignment. Whoa, hold up. Which one is true? Which one is the truth? And then you come into that higher state of consciousness and you realize, oh shit, whatever I ask in the Father's name, but the Father's name is I am. And how I describe myself is by saying that I am something. I am prosperity. Or if I unconsciously call myself a victim to this person, I get more situations that put me in the place of a victim. But then I also understand that the kingdom is within me. So everything is just a reflection of me. So it's not that I'm saying that person is this or that situation. It's all me. So no, there's never been this God just cherry picking the prayers to answer. It has always been about me and my expectations. This God is closer than I could have ever imagined. Closer than I could ever have imagined. Right? So when we come into this consciousness, we're like, damn, I was never alone. Now, how can I make sure I'm walking down the path with faith? With faith. So then I can actually feel what is in my divine nature to feel, and that is unity. Your divine nature is unity. It's not separation. Your divine nature is to sit back and relax. It is not to hustle. You are in a metaphysical or a metaphorical garden, right? And you can take that story however you want. But truly, the nature of you is to be a peaceful, laid-back being. It's not to be forced into this dog-eat-dog, step your foot on somebody's neck to get what you want. Everybody can have what they want. All right? But let me not veer too far off the path. All right, so mystical wisdom, okay? Quote from Rumi. The soul has been given its own ears to hear things the mind does not understand. Okay, this is a call to trust and a call to faith. The soul's been given its own ears to hear things the mind does not understand. Your conscious mind doesn't understand a lot. We know from physics we only see a fraction of reality, 0.001% of reality, right? The rest of it is just energy and information. That is where your soul dwells. Your soul sees things, understands things, puts in motion things that your physical mind, your conscious mind can never comprehend. This is why the purpose of your conscious mind, okay, is not to make these elaborate plans. It's not to try to predict everything. It is simply to surrender to the higher power what you want. My Father and I are the same. We are one in the same. You are within God. God is within you. However, your Father does the work. The faith that you have, your imagination, the God within you carries out the work. You simply just come up with what you want. You're the child. You're the child telling your parent what you want for Christmas. You're the child telling your sugar daddy, well, not the child telling, see, you are the person telling your sugar daddy or your sugar mama, depending on what you actually want. And they give it to you irrespective of how you feel. They give it to you no matter what, without wanting anything in return. You have a divine cosmic Father looking out for you. Beyond looking out for you, not judging anything that you request, just simply saying yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. You can have that too. Whatever you want. Whatever you want, you got it. Right? Okay, here we go. Here's a bar. All right. What if the delay in your manifestation was really an invitation to feel again? To slow down and recognize that it was never about the car. It was never about the money. It was about the soft place inside you that forgot it was already loved. This is the truth. When you are aligned with love, manifestations become a byproduct, not a pursuit. When you are aligned with love, manifestations just become a byproduct of who you are. Who you are is a miracle. You're not supposed to be looking at these things occurring in your life as miracles. You are the miracle. Just that you are here is a miracle. You know how many of those little crawling things your father shot in your mother, and here you are. You are a miracle. You are a divine miracle. It is a miracle that we're walking around on this planet. Doesn't matter if it's a firmament, doesn't matter if it's round and it's floating around the sun, doesn't matter what it is, it's still a miracle. Either way, it's a miracle. These trees just sprouting up out the ground, flowers of every color. People riding these four-wheeled objects around at 70 miles per hour. In some kind of order, this is a miracle. There's planes flying across the sky. It's so normal to us now, we forget that we are in the middle of a miracle and we continue to ask for signs, right? You sit in the middle of a miracle and you still ask for signs from the divine, okay? So this is the truth. When you are aligned with love, manifestations become a byproduct and not a pursuit, because love draws all things unto itself. Love draws all things unto itself, okay? So what would shift in your life if you believed you were already loved by God right now with nothing to prove? Give y'all a second to think about that. What would shift in your life if you believed you were already loved by God right now with nothing to prove? If you believed that you had nothing to prove, that the Most High was just loved you. If you truly believed, truly knew that the desires of your heart, you could walk around expecting them because you understood that you were loved, how would you move? Would life be better? Would you enjoy life more? Would you actually be more present with your parents, present with your kids, present with your friends, present with your work? Would you just enjoy life a little bit more? How would you be different? Okay? So relax, right? Fall back into the arms that formed you, okay? The ones who shaped you from stars and breath and infinite grace. That is where your power is. Not in effort, but in surrender. Not in panic, but in presence. Because when you remember that you're not alone, you no longer beg, okay? You simply receive. And the world begins to mirror that love right back. All right, so the final declaration, right? I release the illusion of lack. I fall back into the love that never left me. I no longer chase, I align. I am not alone. God walks with me. And from that knowing, all things come. From that knowing, all things come. Not that feeling, that knowing. The knowing is always there. Okay, the feeling is fleeting. We don't worry about feelings. We've transcended feelings. Your feelings just show you what you want to experience more of and less of, right? And they're really a reflection of your thought processes. But the knowing that everything is working out, it transcends feelings. I experience my feelings because that's what my soul came down here to do, not suppress one, not only chase happiness and run away from when I feel bad. You experience the sadness because it gives you more context on experiencing the bliss. You go down into the sadness because it gives you more clarity on what you want. The disappointment, how would you truly enjoy the beauty in life if it wasn't for certain disappointments? Okay? If it wasn't for falling short. So these emotions aren't meant to be suppressed and ran from. They're simply telling you something. They're simply a lesson. Unless we believe that the God within you, the one who created all these stars, is just coincidental and just does things on accident, right? It's all for you. There's nothing to suppress. Nothing to suppress. Okay? And so before I actually end this, one thing that I'll say, man, I had an interesting conversation with someone about deadlines. How can I relax into faith without when I have deadlines? Rents due, car payments due, whatever the case may be, right? And we had a really, really, really cold conversation. It was really fire. But what it comes down to is this, because I understand that sometimes we want what we want now. And there are often times where we don't have the luxury of just sitting back because we have these looming deadlines. What I'll tell you is this. Deadlines are always going to be a product of you, okay? For instance, let's say that you're in a home, and your home, evicted, right? Let's say that you're facing an eviction, okay? And your eviction is on, let's say the 12th or the 13th. Say the 12th. I don't like the 13th. All right, so we get to the 12th, right? You have the 12th in your mind, and you know that you have to come up with this money. And so what you are thinking in your mind is the amount of money that you have to make, but you're also thinking about this date, all right? Here's the thing. The only thing that matters is right now. So right now, if I am consciously visioning the money that I need and that date together, that date is attached to a whole bunch of things in my mind. It's attached to homelessness. It's attached to fear. It's attached to lack. So putting that and this money together, right, which one am I going to focus on more? Well, hopefully you're going to focus on the money more, but more likely is that you're going to start focusing on that date. What we have to realize when we're thinking about dates is that everything is a byproduct of who you are being right now. So just by me projecting out to that date, I'm creating space to where I do not have that money by that date or until that date. We have to realize that since everything is right now, I have to completely clear that date by knowing that I have this thing right now. And if I have this thing right now, that date does not matter. The only reason it is a date in my mind is because it's associated with pain. It's associated with something I do not want. So the longer that I keep that date in my consciousness, right, the more likely that I am to I'm keeping that reality alive. You have to understand that date is already there. You can't change it. This is what happens when we get attached to these circumstances and we try to change it and suppress it and push it away, is that we just create more of the same. That date is there. It's not going away. You know it. That is the timeline that you are in. Okay? Now, you can't change that. You can only choose a different timeline. And you do that by knowing that you have that payment right now. You also do that by enjoying where you are right now. Because you have this looming deadline, are you focused just on that date, or are you actually enjoying the place that you live? Enjoying the place that you live imagining yourself as having everything that you need right now and being in the moment? Or is your consciousness way out there on this date of the 12th, right? If your consciousness is way out there on the date of the 12th, you know what that 12th means. So now you're just hoping. So now every day you're just hoping, oh, I hope I have it on this date, but this date means this. And so now as this date gets closer and closer and closer, your anxiety rises. You have to stay in this moment. Prove to yourself, prove to God that you love being in this place. You have this right now. And if you have it right now and you love it, right? Then that date, it doesn't matter because you already have what you need right now. This is how you completely jump out of reality. This is how you completely eliminate that script, that old movie, and you jump into a brand new movie. Do not keep that movie alive. It's there. You already know all the details. Don't run from it. You created it. You embrace it as your child, as something that you created. Just as easy as you can create it, you can create something different. And you create something different with your expectation. I have it right now. I have the exact dollar amount in my account right now. Or if you want to go further, you have the imaginal scene of you actually paying it right now. And so now it's over, and now you can actually relax into your place and enjoy this present moment. It's always about the present moment. There's no power anywhere else. There's only power in the present moment. Verily, verily, I say to you, whatsoever you ask in the Father's name will be given. Hitherto, until now, you have asked for nothing. Okay? Until now, you have asked for nothing. What does that mean? It does not mean, well, yeah, God, I've been asking for the last 5 years, 3 years. It means it doesn't matter what you've been asking for the last 2 years, 3 weeks. It doesn't, this isn't a compounding thing, right? It's not, oh, well, I have X amount of time into the 12th. If I stay focused for 10 days, I can get, no. Who are you being right now? All you need is a moment to shift realities. You have shifted realities right now. Most High knows that deadline, but that deadline doesn't exist in the reality that you are shifting to. So you shift realities right now by focusing on what you need or focusing on the amount that you've already paid, and then you enjoy your spot. You enjoy your spot as if you're going to be there, and then reality will match that you are going to be there and you've already paid. All right? This is how you get out of these iffy situations, is that we have to stay present. We have to stay present. Now that is a more, I don't even want to say difficult situation. It's all the same to God, right? Manifesting $1 is the same as manifesting 10K, right? It's all the same. However, all of your power is right here and right now. Okay, it's not in the future. It's not in the past. The past and the future, they're just thoughts. What's the difference between your thoughts of the past and your thoughts of the future? One of them you might identify as being more real because you think the past is more real, but really they're just thoughts. They only exist up here. You can't touch them. You can't hold them. You can't show me the past. Right? It's just an idea. It's just a thought. And you identify with that thought that way. Right? There's no power there. The power is, who are you being right now? What do you have right now? How often do you go back to who you're being right now? How often do you reject when things show you that you are not who you say you are? Do you reject those things, or do you, I guess you're right, spiritual backbone? That you have to be the rock that isn't moved by the wind, isn't moved by circumstances. These circumstances are just you. That's why you have to take power back. When we talk about giving your power to things, making false idols is how scripture calls it, right? Make false idols. Thou shalt not have any false idols but me. It's understanding that you are source in everything outside of you, because the kingdom is within you. Everything outside of you is just a reflection of you. So the moment that you see something you don't like, you start to make that bigger than you. You start to make that your false idol. Well, thou shalt have no false idols. Okay? That's where the problem is. Oh, we got the puzzle piece. Okay? This is creating false idols. It's not about worshiping a gold statue. You shouldn't do that either. You don't need to worship shit because you are a God. Right? God? Why would a God worship God? This is why even the God requires your love and gratitude doesn't make sense, because God is infinite love. God is all the love that there is. It doesn't need your love. Your gratitude just makes you feel good because it's just your natural state of being. But when we remember this, right? Remember who you are. I am that I am. I am is the Alpha. I am is the Omega. The that in the middle of I am that I am is whatever character you choose to play. So when you decide that I am prosperity, everything in the world turns to you to play that role. When you identify as somebody who's needs this money by the 12th, the entire world turns to you to prove to you that that's who you are. You might start hearing knocks on the door. You might start hearing all these things. All this anxiety starts to build up within you. Everything starts to prove to you. People start all of a sudden asking you about stuff. You start getting ads that are talking about eviction and money. Why is this? Because everybody and everything has to play its role in fulfilling your expectations. All right? But you are greater than any circumstance. You are the sun. Everything else is just the stars, planets, dust. They circle around you, and if they're not in alignment with you, they have to disappear. Right? And because everything is you pushed out, it's all just your creation. You can change all of it. You can change all of it, right? No false idols, y'all. No false idols. I am God and there is no other. This is what scripture says. I am God and there is no other. There is no other God. That bill that you have is not God. You are the creator of it. You are source. God is within you, not inside of that bill. That bill is just a projection of you. It's an illusion. It disappears the moment that you put your awareness on already have paying it. It's immediately gone. And now you walk through the reality, right? So this is what happens. You have this bill that's sitting here. Okay, you have a bill that's sitting there. $100. Now in your mind, right now you have paid that $100. Immediately, because your awareness is on paying it, the reality where you have paid it is projected outside of you. And now every moment you are walking down the path of revealing the payment. Okay? This new reality, you're not even in this time. You're not even in this reality anymore with this bill. You've completely moved off of it. And now you will go down the path where all of a sudden, randomly, you will get $100 and boom, you will pay it. In this reality, it's still there. In this new reality you're on, you already got rid of it. It's simple as your awareness, simple as your consciousness. This is a game of consciousness, of awareness. What are you aware of being? What are you aware of doing? Not in the future, but right now. And if you've already done it, then your affirmation should be, nah, it's already done. Nah, I already have it. I already have it. It's already done. It's this simple, right? It sounds like delusion. That's what it sounds like. How can I do that? The bills are real. Okay. They just come from you. If you think they're larger than you, you're making a false idol of them. And now you can't remove them because you've made them bigger than you. So reality has to respond to what you've made them. But the moment you believe that you are larger than everything, which you are, this is the moment where everything starts to bend to your will. Not in a month, not in a week, not in a day, but immediately. Reality has to immediately conform to you. Well, yes, ma'am, I have a YouTube. I do have a YouTube. It's in my bio. So link in my bio. So all the discussions are on YouTube, and we keep them up there. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If there's any parts of that y'all want me to clarify, I will. If y'all have any questions, we can go over them. Let's just talk about whatever, man. I got time. We're gonna stay here until I get tired of talking until the phone dies. Let me see if I missed anything first. Miss Christina, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, truly. Thank you. Damn, there was a question. Damn, what was the question about chi? It was like something about chi. And if you wrote that, put it back in. My bad. I don't know if it was like balancing or raising it or what. To the supermarket, picked up all the expensive things I wanted and didn't substitute. Straight abundance, man. It's just a mindset. It is a mindset. It is a refusal to settle for anything less. All right. Okay. So the 3D is the after effect of our beliefs. Yes. So, all right. Let's think about it like this, right? What's a good way to put this? So if you want to think of the after effects and current effects, sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's going to be the after effects and it's going to be your current thought processes. But the purpose of it really is to know yourself. We can think of it as an illusion. We can think of it as whatever we need to. But the point of this experience is if you were the creator and you were all that there was, you were the past, you were the present, everything happened right now, right? So the moment that you pass away, the moment that you are born, every single life that you've ever experienced is all unfolding right now with every single possibility. How would you get to know yourself as the creator? Well, then you would create a situation where you walk through this situation in a linear way, and every single intention, every single expectation that you had unfolded in front of you so you could get to know yourself as God, as the creator. So this is what the 3D is. It's not meant to punish you. I know there's certain spiritual traditions that look at it as hell, okay? Earth as hell, because the 3D, right? The lower three energy centers represent the 3D. Okay, so we could consider Earth being something like that, or the 3D being something like that. But I think there's a morbid way of looking at it. If you simply looked at this as a way for you to understand yourself more fully, right? I walk through life and I'm constantly confronted. Every single moment confronts me with what I'm expecting, what I'm believing. My quote unquote limiting beliefs are all being shown to me. This is the most beautiful way to raise your consciousness, right? And then that delay teaches you faith in the middle. And the delay continuously confronts you with other things that you can experience. If it would be pretty overwhelming as humans if everything that we desire, we got it instantly. We would probably like that for some things, but not for everything. For damn sure not for everything, right? So it gives us time. To walk through life and continue to meet things head on, to change our beliefs, to refocus our awareness, to grow, to evolve, to love, to experience all these things. There are lots of things, even on the negative spectrum, that aren't experienced if you are everything all at once right now. So you descend into this human form, and of course you're wrapped in bones. Flesh, you got blood pumping through your veins, but now you have to go through time, right? So if everything happens right now, the moment I'm a millionaire, the moment I'm broke, every moment in between, I don't have a concept of a loss or longing, right? I would never truly experience the loss of a loved one that makes me embrace the birth of a new child because everything happens right now. So a lot of these concepts to your soul are foreign. That's why we said there's no loss in the kingdom, because if everything is happening right now, well, shit, there is no loss. No one can die, right? All of your lives, your births, your deaths are all just transposed one on top of the other in this infinite present moment. right? Even the concept of past lives is really an illusion. There's only the now. We walk through this linear timeline, but there's really only the now. Well, what's really interesting when you think of even the third dimensional reality is we have this collective consciousness that impacts how we see the past. And the example I always give is COVID. Is that you can sit here and you can remember COVID. And you can remember it completely differently than someone else. Some people can see it as a damn apocalyptic event. Some people see it as it was just another day. It was just a common cold. Right? I've heard all kinds of different perspectives. Which one is true? Now, we understand that there's different perspectives, and your perspective is reality. Now, I want you to go through the history book and say, for every event that you see in history, do you see a bunch of different perspectives, or do you typically see a single perspective? So the way that you view something right now, right, what they write in the history books might not even be your perspective of reality. You might have a completely different reality in your mind, and 200, 300, 400, 500 years from now, people are reading up about COVID, and it doesn't match what you remembered. Which one is true? So we're going through this experience from our perspective, and our perspective is divine. And then we're making all these judgments. But what is interesting, I know this is kind of veering off the question, but I feel like this is just an interesting thing to throw in. When you think of historical events, what makes them true? What makes them true? So you read about the Bible, you read about history in the Bible, you read about different history in textbooks. We have a collective consciousness. The past, it's just thoughts, right? So what actually makes the past true or false is our belief in it. It sounds like mumbo jumbo, woo woo shit, right? But it's our collective consciousness that actually makes things true or not. Whether or not certain stories happened, if our consciousness as a collective believes in these events enough, they happened. If it doesn't, if we don't believe it happened, then it didn't happen, right? It's the observer effect. Okay, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, did it fall? Does it make a noise? No, it doesn't, because there has to be consciousness around to observe. All right? So even the everything that we see is an illusion. Everything that we read is illusion. We really don't know what truth is. Truth is always what our perspective says. All right? But anyways, yes, your answer is correct, or your question is correct, right? We go through this third dimension, and we are encountering who we were in the last moment. And we are encountering our beliefs, our current beliefs and past beliefs. We always have an opportunity to change those things, though. Miss Lizzie Starr, I appreciate you, man. Truly, I appreciate you. All right, how to give up that one indulgence that you think is holding you back. Let's break that one down, right? I like that one because it's specific to an individual, so it can be a more open-ended answer. I don't like blanket statements. So, all right. The first question I would ask you is, why do you think it's holding you back? That's the first thing that I would ask myself. Okay, so why do I think it's holding me back? And because our assumptions and our beliefs make reality, there are big things that could hold us back, right? Maybe it's somebody doing something that's constantly putting you in a position where you could lose your freedom or lose your life because you're around them. But then maybe it's something like people not supporting you, right? Or maybe it's an indulgence like smoking. And you're like, okay, well, maybe if I just smoked a little bit less, it would be better, all right? So we always have to measure, why do we believe that it's holding us back? And then once we actually, kind of measure it, we can take action. But let me see if I can think of a real world example that I had to give up, besides women. My indulgence of women did hold me back for a long time. Let's see. I'm trying to think of something that's not too personal. That's why it's not that I can't think of anything. But anyways, look, when it comes to giving up these indulgences, man, we have to measure it. To me, when I think about this from a very practical way, it's about I have certain behaviors, and my behaviors in my life lead to X outcomes. If I want to change the outcomes, I have to just change those behaviors. So it's as simple as saying, maybe I don't have to get to the root cause of why I have the indulgence, but if I have certain things in my life that are reoccurring and they're leading to certain results, what do I do? And then what we'll also see is that one of the techniques or the lessons that I have my clients do is make goals. So make a goal for a month or for 2 weeks. And it could be a simple goal like, okay, I want to work out 5 days a week, or I want to eat clean for a week. And then set yourself a schedule, Sunday through Saturday. Every day I want you to put an X if you did not do it, or a check mark if you did do it. But on the days that you did not do this, I want you to actually ask the question, why didn't you do this? Okay, why didn't I do this thing? Right? And so if I ask that question, it's like, okay, well, I wanted to work out 5 days a week. And I didn't go this day. Why didn't I? Oh, because I went out with my homeboys last night. I thought that I could come home early. So I got home at about 11. I was going to work out early, but I just overslept. And then I was going to work out later on in the day, but I just got busy. So I didn't. Okay, well, what is the solution to that? Right? Well, the solution is that, okay, maybe I set a different curfew. Or maybe Monday through Friday, I make sure that I do not drink during the weekdays. I make sure that I'm at home by 10. That way I can actually be asleep by 11, right? And what we'll see is sometimes we think that certain indulgences are quote unquote wrong, but what we really need to do is actually align our goals with our day-to-day activities. And this will help us actually measure what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong in our life. So if I notice, right, okay, well, I just need to come home an hour early. Maybe I just don't drink Monday through Fridays. Now, all of a sudden I have a baseline, right? So instead of me just kind of shooting in the dark at which things are holding me back, I'm actually measuring it out. And what we'll see when we take this approach is oftentimes it's not even about hitting a goal. A lot of us will set goals and we'll do the goal for 5 days out of 10 and we're like, oh, we didn't do it, and we'll quit. A lot of times it's not about hitting the goal. It's getting you back in control of your life. When you are measuring what you're doing on a daily and you're saying, this is why I did it, this is why I did not do it, now I'm actually reorchestrating things in my life, eliminating certain things, getting myself to a baseline. Now you'll see I actually have control. It was never about the quote unquote New Year's resolution. It was about how I was measuring progress to it. Because once you feel like you're in control of your life, the game changes. You become a completely different person. You walk with more confidence, right? You walk more divinely. You have more faith. You trust yourself more. And trusting yourself more goes a long way spiritually, right? So before I just try to eliminate any one indulgence by itself, I would start making a point to treat my life like the CEO of it, right? The same way that you work for a company and they might have a quarterly review. And say, okay, these are all the things we did last quarter that were right, that we're gonna keep doing. These are the things we're not gonna do. Do that with yourself. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month. Okay, these are the things that worked. This didn't work. Okay, this is how I'm gonna eat different. Maybe I'm only gonna eat this type of way on this day. Maybe I'm gonna start meal prepping differently, right? So you start doing these things and you realize, oh shit, I have a lot more freedom in my life. And this helps me, right? Take it or leave it. But that's one of the things that I noticed when I was really trying to improve my life. I was blindly trying to guess, like, man, it must be smoking or it must be sex or whatever. These are the things that are holding me back. Sometimes you eliminate those things thinking your life will get better, and it might, but until you actually measure, you'll realize that you have a lot of things in your life that if you just tweaked them and got back to this baseline, you will be a completely different person, a much better person. Like for instance, I talk to my mother before I trade. If I don't talk to my mom, I feel like I don't trade well, but I didn't know this until I started measuring what I was actually doing per day. Today I didn't trade because I didn't talk to my mom until later, right? So I didn't take a trade. Now I could have, but it's just something that I do. Just something that I do. But until you start really micromanaging your life like that, right? And this also takes the burden off of, even when we're in the manifestation space, right? Trying to over work on everything in alignment with my manifestation, and I just work on self-improvement in general. Right? Just gives you something else to do. Gives you a better way to handle your time and handle yourself. Right? Like even I have a Excel spreadsheet. I ain't gonna pull it up. It's a little too much information. Maybe I'll make a template out of it. Right? But I have everything on there that I track daily. Right? I track everything from my health, what I eat, my workouts, whether I walk, who I talk to. I measure all those things. I measure my content. I have monthly goals, weekly goals, all broken down on it, and it just keeps me focused day to day. But it's right here in this tab right here. I even have it named 2025 accomplishments right there. It's got everything I need right there. I love this question. Okay, what if your expectations aren't showing up, even if you are keeping the faith? This is common. We have to be very aware of the story that we are telling right now. So, I'm gonna repeat back what you said, and I'm gonna say it in a different way, and then I'm gonna explain what the difference is. Okay. But I'm sure you're going to catch it. One way of thinking, one way of me declaring, because thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. Meaning whatever story that I'm telling about what's going on in my life right now is the law. I am creating the law. I am creating life as I walk through it. So on one hand, I say, I'm doing all the things right. I'm doing all the affirming. I'm keeping the faith, but nothing's showing up. My expectations are not showing up. That's a decree. In the moment I am making a decree, which is just a manifestation of what I've been thinking, what I've been assuming. Okay? And on the other hand, I say, because I have changed, everything is changing. I just haven't seen it yet. Two completely different decrees. One acknowledges that because they're moving through reality, everything is changing. The other one, because you're moving through and you don't see anything with your eyes, you're assuming that nothing's changed. But here's the thing, everything that you see is meaningless. You're the one who gives it meaning with your decrees, with your story. Okay? So you have to improve the story. Everything is changing. The moment that you changed, everything is changing. The moment that your expectations changed, everything is changing. But what is the story that you're telling about it? Right? Reality is going to hold on long enough to try to trigger you. To try to trigger you into going back to that old version of you. That old version of you that was looking around saying, man, nothing's changing even though I'm doing this. But it is on you to walk and realize that you are the proof. Because you have changed, everything is changing. It must change. All right? It must change. It is changing. There's 99.999% of reality that's changing that you don't see. How long are you going to continue to move forward? Right? But that's another thing with faith, right? Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. And this is the story, the story of the Pool of Bethesda, right? Where all these crippled people, sick people are waiting around this pool. And they believe that an angel was going to come and stir the water of the pool. And the first person who got in the pool would be healed. What the stirring of the pool represented was external circumstances. So keep that in mind. The stirring of the pool represented us looking out and seeing external circumstances changing to give us validation. But the truth is that you'll never be validated from the external world. It'll never provide you validation. You are the validation. So Jesus went up to one of the crippled men and said, okay, do you want to be healed? The man said, of course I want to be healed. Right? But I have nobody to take me to the pool. And he said, okay, well, are you going to take me to the pool? Jesus said, no. No, I'm not going to take you to the pool. You don't need the pool. All you need is me. All you need is your I am awareness. All you need is your assumption of who you are being. Who are you being? All right, and he says, so pick up your mat and walk. This story represents how we want to be healed. We want to change, but we continue to look out into reality and believe that reality is going to give us validation. If we're looking for validation out there, we won't receive it. We can't receive it because it's just a mirror. It's just a reflection. If who I'm being is someone who's walking through life looking for validation, then what I'm going to receive is situations that make me continue to look for validation. Does that make sense? Right? So it's always a perfect mirror of who you are being. If I'm being someone that has changed their expectation but is still looking for things to change, then they can't. But if I'm being someone who's walking through life expecting things to change, knowing that they will change because I have changed, then I will hold on to this and reality must follow me. Okay, which are two completely different mindsets, right? We have to have the point of your consciousness is to be conscious. And because nothing is outside of you, everything is within you, the only thing that you have to be conscious of is yourself. Right? Everything else is an illusion. Being conscious of anything else is making something else a false idol. Everything is just giving you feedback on who you're being. Right? This is why that exercise of letting go is so important. Of declaring things and then moving forward and enjoying life. Because when we're actually enjoying the miracle of the moment-to-moment life, now we can actually take our mind off just our manifestation. So hopefully that helps. You got to be the CEO of everything. Everything you do and why. Yeah. Manage everything you do and then ask yourself, why am I doing that? Why didn't I do it? If I said I was going to do it, why didn't I do it? And then my thoughts on the law of assumption, I live by the law of assumption. I live my life by the law of assumption. All right. I got into the law of assumption a long time ago, but it didn't click for a while. It didn't click because I was, like so many people that I work with, right? I was always looking out for validation, and then I was thinking that my assumption and my expectations were tied to my feeling. When I was in that space, it just wasn't working for me. But once it clicked, right? And it clicked in the same ways that I'm telling you. I'm telling y'all from experience. That's all I can speak from, right? Is experience, scripture, and the inner vision is me walking through life and starting to use the law with everything that I did. Not just focusing on one thing, but using it in everything. I use it if I lose something, I use the law of assumption. If I want anybody to change in my life, I use the law of assumption. If I want money, I use the law for everything. The type of nights I'm gonna have when my friends come in town and we go out, I use the law of assumption. I utilize the law of assumption as a way of living. It's a way of life. And that's why every single discussion that I do in some way is geared towards the law of assumption. We talk about multiple universal laws, but I like the law of assumption because, so what is the law of assumption? It is a law that was coined by Neville Goddard. Right? Neville Goddard was a spiritual teacher a while back, maybe in like the 40s, 50s, maybe 30s, I'm not sure. But basically he coined the phrase that, you receive who you're being. Who are you aware of being? If you actually go back and study, you'll find that most of what he says is the same type of things I say, just in a different way, right? But Neville Goddard is someone to definitely study. It's a spin-off, and I believe it's a much more powerful law than the law of attraction. Law of attraction kind of focuses on feelings and happiness, and I think it's misleading. But the law of assumption, the law of who you're being, reality always mirrors back who you're being. And I have lots of lectures on the law of assumption. I might not put law of assumption in them, but any time that we've talked about manifestation, it's been law of assumption. Similar to Carl Jung, yes. So he does talk about the subconscious. Matter of fact, hell yeah. If I had to, wow, I didn't really even think about that. If I had to align him with someone, I would say Neville Goddard and Carl Jung go hand in hand. One just talks about things from a more textbook psychological perspective, and then one person talks about it from a more practical perspective. Neville Goddard used the state akin to sleep. The concept of revision that I always talk about. Visualization and state akin to sleep were really kind of Neville Goddard's things. So when we talk about state, let me just break this down. I'm not going to rush through it. Let me give you all the full thing. We got time, right? So state akin to sleep, right? What Neville Goddard believed was that before you go to sleep, so as psychology would tell us, before you go to sleep, your brain waves slow down. So in our waking day, we are in the beta brainwave frequency, where we walk around and your brain is moving pretty fast. Your conscious mind is just alert, okay? Before you go to sleep, you slip into a slower brainwave, the alpha state. And then right before you go to sleep, and right when you wake up, you are in the theta. Theta is the slowest. Alpha is in between. Alpha is somewhat drowsy. Theta is damn near a hypnotic state. Okay? So Neville's practice is you come up with the scene in your mind of what you want. 3 to 5 second imaginal scene. Just, if you had what you want, what would happen? Maybe it would be somebody congratulating you. Maybe it would be you receiving a check. Maybe it would be you paying something. Maybe it would be you sitting in the driver's seat of this car. So you think of this imaginal scene and you replay it in your mind over and over and over again as you fall asleep. Okay? Because the last thing that you think about in the day before you go to sleep is the most important, because this is when your subconscious is wide open, because your brain waves have slowed from beta to alpha to theta. And whatever is on your mind before you go to sleep, right? Your subconscious and the superconscious mind actually go out and create that reality for you. So then it doesn't even matter what you do, as long as you maintain the assumption that it is done, it is done. This is the law of assumption, right? So one of the techniques that Neville Goddard always told his students to do would be the climb the ladder technique. I actually do a very similar technique with men and women, right, with my clients. But he did the climb the ladder technique, where he would have you, as you're going to sleep, climb a ladder. So pretend you're climbing a ladder over and over again. Just pretend you're climbing a ladder. And then when you wake up, throughout the day, just randomly affirm that I will not climb a ladder. I will not climb a ladder. And then most of his students, or all of his students that really use the law correctly, they would find themselves randomly in a position just climbing a ladder. Whether they just went over to their parents' house and all of a sudden their dad was like, hey man, grab something for me. And they would climb the ladder. And then when they were on the ladder, they would realize and be like, damn, I was not supposed to climb it. Okay? The power of this is twofold. Number one, it shows that whatever you are envisioning, okay, you go to sleep and you're envisioning climbing a ladder. But even when you're saying, I will not climb a ladder, what are you envisioning? You're envisioning yourself climbing a ladder. Okay, so it taught two things. Number one, it taught it's whatever you're constantly visualizing that comes true. Number two, it taught detachment. Because if you're saying, I'm not going to do that shit, it doesn't matter if I do that shit, I'm not going to climb it, right? You're immediately detaching from the outcome. Okay? So this is beautiful on both ways. So You're also getting this knowing that if I imagine this, it literally does not matter what I do or say throughout the day. It must come true because this is law. Right? So this was how Neville taught the state akin to sleep, the law of assumption. Right? Whatever you assume yourself to be, and then also whatever you go to sleep, whatever the last thing on your mind is before you go to sleep will come true. This is why it's so destructive for us to sit in the bed and think about all the things that we don't want. All the things in that day that have went wrong, because we're just telling our subconscious mind to replay those scenarios. And so people get caught in these loops. Another thing, right? Dang, my mind just went blank. I just had a perfect transition off of that. State akin to sleep, sleeping. Anyways, yeah, that is the law of assumption. The second part of the law of assumption, after the state akin to sleep part, was you will receive what you assume yourself to be. Okay, what you assume yourself to be. Once you get into the law of assumption space, it's going to change your life. It's in alignment with most of the stuff that I say, right? But the law of assumption, this is a law that I live by. I live by it. Y'all will too once you go down that rabbit hole. So go ahead. Go ahead. Please. But yeah, it is about, it's the same things, right? So, exactly. So don't, it's not about how you feel. It's about who you are being. Who are you conscious of being? Who are you aware of being from moment to moment? Lots of the quotes that I use are Neville Goddard quotes, right? Lots of the talks that we've had, I've had Neville Goddard quotes through here. That's who that is. Anytime you see Neville Goddard, that's law of assumption owner, right? The only thing keeping you from having the life that you want or having your desires is you refuse to assume that you already are the person that has it. It's a Neville Goddard quote. Right? You are what you assume to be. Feeling is the secret. This is Neville Goddard. Right? Feeling is the secret. And when we talk about feeling, it's not about, emotions. It's about your assumption. Who do you assume yourself to be? Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing we've been talking about. Who are you aware of being? Like, are you aware of being the divine? Are you aware of being the creator? Are you aware that all of the things that you want are promises? Who are you aware of being? Or are you aware of being someone who is a victim? Are you aware of being someone who gets treated unfairly by women, gets treated unfairly by men? All of those things, right? So yeah, that's what we say. So who are you aware of being? This is why we constantly say, when you get to that God state, right? When you come back to the realization that you are the divine. Yeah. When you get to the realization that you are the divine, right? My favorite Neville quote is, once you master your inner speech, you can lay aside all other techniques. Once you master the story that you are telling from moment to moment, you can drop all techniques. You'll see. If y'all go back and y'all start watching these discussions, you'll see there's always Neville Goddard quotes all through there. Big old Neville Goddard quotes. At least 2 or 3 per discussion. But he has several works. You got to be careful, though, because of AI now. A lot of these AI things on YouTube are mimicking him, but it's not really what he said. So ideally, if I was you, I'd go back to his old lectures. You can tell that they're authentic because they'll sound like they were recorded in like 1940. And his books. He has several books. He has a way of talking where he fits a lot of information in a sentence. I just put it like that. My dog can fit a whole lot of information in one sentence. Right. But some of his old books, one of them is Feeling is the Secret. I think it's law of awareness or the art of awareness. Maybe I'll put some of them here. Matter of fact, let's Google them. F it. Neville Goddard books. Okay, yeah. Feeling is a secret. The power of awareness. Your fate is your fortune. The law and the promise. Awaken the man. He had a bunch. So a lot of these are good. One of my favorite ones is the one where he simply goes through success stories. The whole book is just success story after success story after. Extremely powerful. Let me put this link here. I'll put this link in the... Neville Goddard books. All right, I'll put the link in the YouTube, so y'all got it. Yeah, a lot of his stuff is on YouTube for the freebie. But if you at least want the titles, you could just use this link. It'll pull up the titles. You can just go to YouTube and get everything for free. You don't have to buy anything. Yeah, she fits a lot of info in a sentence too. A lot. But when it comes to like manifestation teachers, Neville Goddard to me is the Godfather. The Godfather. And tricks to snap your brain back into remembering or just being intentional with everything. I'm not big on tricks, but I am big on just consciousness overall. Man, like I always say, right? So working on your consciousness is like working on a muscle. The more that you work on it now, the better it'll get later on. And the more in control of your life. I'll tell you the only reason why I don't like to say quote unquote tricks is for the same way that I don't want to say reprogramming the subconscious mind and things like that. Because there's this illusion of time that if I do this long enough, if I do tricks long enough, if I reprogram my subconscious mind long enough, then all of a sudden reality is shift. And believing that in the present moment actually creates the illusion of time. My belief always has been whatever I declare right now, that's law, right? And so I move through life, and no matter how I feel, whatever I declare right now is absolute law. Those auto-suggestions, affirmations. One thing that I still do, though, I still affirm all the time. When I work out, I affirm. When I go run, I affirm. Because I prefer to affirm versus listening to someone else. Just my preference. Sleep tapes as well. If you use the Parrot app, there's an app called Parrot, P-A-R-R-O-T, just like the bird. So you can just record your own affirmations. You hit play, it just plays on loop. Just plays on loop, and you can listen to it overnight. You can listen to it when you work out. You can do whatever. Yeah. You create your reality in that moment you go unconscious. That's normal, though. Give yourself grace, man. You just get better over time. I doubt there's anyone that's 100% conscious all day. Damn super soldier, manifesting super soldier, right? You got Steve Rogers out here. I highly doubt it. I'm sure maybe a couple people are, right? But consciousness is just something that we practice and we continue to do over and over and over and over again, right? One thing that you could do, I have certain affirmations that I use in certain times. If I feel triggered by reality, the affirmation I always go to is, doesn't matter what the situation looks like, the God within me is perfect, so the situation must be unfolding perfectly. Right? So maybe if there's certain areas in your life that you're constantly triggered by, you find yourself triggered more often than not, you have certain affirmations that you pull out. Those are your swords in those situations. You understand that your word is your wand, your word is your weapon, right? So you create certain affirmations for money. Maybe if you look at your bank account and you feel triggered, it's always have more than enough. I prefer to have my affirmations a little bit more poetic, right? The money affirmation I like is one I got from Florence Scovel Shinn. My pockets are rammed and jammed with money. My pockets are rammed and jammed with money, about to burst out it, right? And then whenever I say those affirmations, I'll just go off. I just freestyle them, right? I just talk shit about how much money loves me. If I walk too close to you, money might jump out your pocket and jump into mine. That's how much money's attracted to me. That shit, everybody wants to pay me. I always have more than enough. My wealth is always increasing. I don't have to check shit. I simply swipe and go about my damn day. So those are the same type of affirmations I do when I work out, right? It depends on the day. So I might affirm about self-concept in general, who I am, I'm a God, all these things, right? I might affirm about money. I might affirm about how I look. I might affirm about women. It just however I'm feeling, whatever I want to focus on, that's what I affirm on for that day. Right? Said you realize that people around you are starting to distance themselves, just starting to freelance. Well, we can always look at this from multiple ways, right? There's nothing in life that happens out of coincidence. Everything's intentional. Everything's meant to push you on a divine path, man. So if you know that, then there's going to be purpose. There's purpose in all kinds of solitude. There's purpose in the solitude where somebody breaks up with you. Somebody breaks your heart, cheats on you, betrays you, abandons you, ghosts you, whatever. It puts you in this darkness where no one can save you. It's where you truly realize that you have to be your own savior. And the only way for you to climb out that darkness is to illuminate the light within you that actually sees, what was this relationship trying to show me? And how can I move forward as a different person? Okay? Sometimes we have people that distance themselves for us. We're starting new things because they don't know the new version of us, right? The people that you've known for the last 20, 30, 40, however many years, they know a certain version of you. Now you're trying to jump into this new realm and move down a new path. They don't know that version of you. You don't even fully know that version of you yet. So sometimes the best thing that we can do is let go and focus on who we are supposed to be, and then move forward like that. All right. Everybody does want to pray. But here's the thing, man. So saving people is an illusion. Okay, I want y'all to think about it like this, right? The things that you believe in today, there are certain things that you didn't believe in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but you believe them now. There's certain things you probably believe and see today that if somebody came up to you 10 years, 5 years ago and told you to do something, you would have looked at them like they were insane. You would have looked around and said, somebody locked this brother up. He's tripping, right? There's certain things right now that are completely out of the realm of what you thought possible 5, 10 years ago. And you required grace to get here. No one could have pushed you down this path. Something had to spark you, and that spark could have came within. You can read the same book 10 times. Every single time you read it, you get new information. Did the information change in the book? No. You changed. You weren't ready for the information before. This is the same grace that we have to give other people. This is that unconditional love that your soul has, right? Let's say that I'm going through a heartbreak, and that heartbreak it's just showing me who I am, right? It's reflecting things at me. And my friends are looking at me and saying, bro, why do you keep doing that shit? And they're trying to pull me out. And I'm resisting. And then one day, they pull me out and they lock me in a room and say, you can't go date nobody else. You keep putting yourself in these bad situations. And then I break out of that room, and because I have not learned the lesson that my soul is trying to show me, I go back to the same type of situation. Right? This is what your soul does. Your soul sets up these checkpoints. You're walking through life and you enter these checkpoints, these hot zones, where you have to learn something. You have a belief that is projected out in front of you, and you're confronting that belief. And until you change that belief and you learn that lesson, you can't raise in vibration to get new things. But this is our human perception. This is our ego, right? Because no one could save you when you hadn't learned the lesson. No one could save me. When I didn't learn a lesson, no one could save me. But there were so many people I was trying to save from a lesson that I didn't know about. I didn't know what they needed to go through. But from my perception, I thought I knew better. But looking back at that, who am I to say that? This is the same way that we'll constantly judge things as right and wrong. We can only see fractions of reality. We only see 0.001% of reality. This is the same way that people that were born on opposite sides of the world, they believe their religion is better because this is what they were brought up in. Now they start debating each other and arguing over which one is saved and which one isn't. Who are you to say? Who are you to say what this soul needed to gravitate towards, to learn in this lifetime, to help them? Who am I to say what situation this other person needs to encounter to grow, to experience? Right? So we have to give people the same grace that the divine gave us. Difficult, I know. It's difficult. It's not easy. And does anybody get this 100% correct? No, probably not. Right? But these are checkpoints where we can check ourselves and say, okay, yeah, I'm saying I love them, but let's say I pull them out of this situation. All right? Even though we know we can't change anyone, you can't change anybody. We say this shit all the time, but we think we're going to be the exception. We will sit there and cry, why will this person not take my advice? The same way you didn't take anybody's advice. You wouldn't take your mom's advice, your dad's advice, your brother's advice, your sister's advice. They could have had the whole congregation at church sit your ass down and say, all right, bro, you're tripping. You would have been like, no, y'all are tripping. No one could save you because you had things you had to experience. We have to provide that grace to other people. Now, if it's a situation where you believe, okay, this person could potentially be harming themselves, I'm not saying turn a blind eye. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is it's causing you your peace of mind. You need to walk away. Now, when it comes to don't allow them to cause them self-harm, this is more so catered towards my brothers. Let's say that you're walking down the street. This is an open question right here. I really want to get y'all's answers. Let's say you're walking down the street, okay? And you see a woman standing in front of the club with, quote unquote, her man. You don't know, you just see them. You don't know them from a can of paint. And she gets slapped by this man right in front of you. Bow, slaps the piss out of her. What do you do in this situation? What would y'all do in this situation? I'm just interested. Or ladies, what do you think men should do in this situation? Do we have any votes for save her, or do we have any votes for mind your business? What y'all gonna vote on? It would depend. Call the police. Mind your business, okay. And talk to the guy. What's she gonna say? All right. What I want to make clear is this. This is what I want to talk to y'all like a big brother for a second, okay? I'm gonna talk to y'all like a big brother for a second, okay? Let's say that you go over there and you confront this man, and let's say that he shoots you. And now there's nobody to take care of your family. And now she ends up back with him. All right? Now let's say that y'all get to fighting. And let's say the police show up and you say, I saw him put his hands on her. And the police turn to her. Whose side do you think she's going to be on? Your strange ass side or this man that she was with? Maybe your side. Probably not. So now they're going to say, why are you stepping in? And you're going to say, oh, well, I saw him hurting her. He can press charges on your ass. For not minding your damn business, he can press charges. You assaulted me. I'm over here minding my business with this woman, and you assaulted me. You can get charges pressed on you. You can lose your freedom by trying to play this captain save. Okay? Now, I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm saying that while we walk this righteous path, we also have to understand life. If this is not your sister, if this is not somebody that you are willing to die for, if this is not somebody that you're willing to leave your family behind for, you leave her be. How many times have you seen men put their hands on women and they end up right back together? And you'll be the one in jail. You'll be the one dead. You'll be the one paying the price for trying to be a quote unquote good guy. Now, what's the right or wrong thing to do morally? That's up to you to judge. Morality is very subjective. What I'm saying is when you are operating in this world as well, right? You can't tell the cop, well, God told me to protect her. He's not finna listen to you, okay? So yeah, it sounds like the nice thing to confront him and talk to him. It sounds like that's the noble thing to do, but it's not. Not when it comes to leaving your family behind. Side note. Hopefully this saves a brother, man, because we see this type of stuff play out all the time where these men just get. If it's your sister, that's different. But if it's not your sister, it's not your business. Even if it was my sister, I'll probably confront her later on. What the hell's wrong with you? What you doing? You know better than that. First of all, my sister wouldn't be in a position like that. So it's hard for me to even think about that, right? But let's say that she was. Okay, who's going to take care of my parents? Who's going to take care of my family if I'm gone? Yeah, I love her. I love her to death. To death. But all I'm saying is if you're not willing to die, don't do it. If you're not willing to die, don't do it. This is a more controversial take. I know it's a little polarizing, but that's fine. All I'm saying is you can defend your side while you're still alive versus defending yourself from the other side. Yeah, later on. I'm gonna give another polarizing take on this, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. This is why it's important for I can already feel it before I say it. This is why it's important also for men to raise men. Because I also think that we could get clouded behind, I don't even want to say loyalty to a gender, but I think we have different ideas of what makes one gender righteous and what doesn't. I don't think there is a father that would tell their son that if he saw a stranger, a woman being abused, to go save her. I don't think so. All right. But if I'm putting myself in the position of the daughter or of the woman, that might be a different story. It's just interesting to see how these things can play out. Or like how these kind of discussions can play out. Bottom line, what I would always say, if I had a son, is look, you can defend your position while you're still free and safe and feeding your family. But if anything goes left, you can't do it. You have to be wise, right? You know, a smart person can walk through life and they can, or a person who believes they're a good fighter, they can walk around and they can pick fights and they can go defend whoever they want. But a wise person, right? A wise person also makes sure that their priorities are straight, right? All your parents all your family will be crying at your funeral, and those two people are just going to go about their lives. Was it truly a noble thing to do? Would you truly tell your son that was a noble thing to do? I for sure wouldn't. I for sure would not. Yeah. All right, what other questions y'all got or anything else? Any spiritual questions, any relationship questions? Shit, we can talk about that more too. You got a specific question? Ask away, ask away. Ask away. Man. Pertaining to the same thing. That's cool. That's cool. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah, I answered Christina's question, but I can answer it again for you. So, impressing the subconscious. Y'all already know my answer to this one. So, when it comes to impressing the subconscious, these are my beliefs. Your subconscious, right? We tend to make our subconscious into this dark, mysterious monster that accepts certain things and doesn't accept other things. Your subconscious is you, meaning your subconscious accepts everything. But what are you actually conscious of being? When we create this, we have to remember that whatever we decree, whatever we expect, whatever we believe, that is the reality that we're going to get. So if I'm expecting that I have to impress my subconscious mind, basically what I'm saying is that I'm going to have to take time to do all of this work to allow some mysterious power within me to go off and attract the things that I want in my life, when that's absolutely not true. The only thing that matters is who you're being right now. What are you conscious and aware of being right now? That is what is pulling things into your reality. Okay? You don't have to, it's not about what you've been, it doesn't take time. When we talk about circumstances don't matter, it does not take time. What that really means is it doesn't matter what you've experienced in the past. It doesn't matter what you've been doing for the last 10 years, what you've been saying for the last 20 years, right? All it matters is who you're aware of being right now. Are you saying your affirmations from the perspective of one day this will work? If I say my affirmations X amount of times, then all of a sudden things will come true for me? Well, what you are actually decreeing is that I'm waiting for some future moment for all of a sudden things to click. And there is no future. There's only right now. So you need to say your affirmations from the perspective of right now, I am the person that I say that I am. Therefore, those things can come into your reality. Right? So how you impress the subconscious mind is you make the assumption that you already are who you want to be right now. It's an assumption. Right. Also, I think impressing the subconscious mind gives an illusion that if you say something for long enough, let's say that I dedicate a week to saying our prosperity, all of a sudden my subconscious mind will remember that, and I can just go back to being unconscious, walking through life blind, and you know, prosperity will just all of a sudden be automatically attracted to me, when that's not true. It's always going to be just, who are you aware of being, right? So we have to embody this person. If anything, what subconscious programming is embodying somebody for so long, it naturally becomes who you are. Instead of constantly switching to thoughts of lack, you automatically just, boom, switch to thoughts of prosperity. The money always flows to you, boy. Women love me, right? I always get what I want. Everything's always working out for me. The God within me is perfect. Everything is ideal. My life is delicious. It's beautiful. It's divine. It's perfect. It's everything that I want to be, right? If anything, it's getting to a point where that becomes your main state of being. And we can kind of call that subconscious reprogramming. But your subconscious mind, it takes everything. It doesn't have a measurement. This is even what a lot of scripture points to is like, God doesn't, the moment you turn and you declare yourself to be something right now, it doesn't matter what you've been doing for 10 years, 20 years. We see this throughout scripture. It doesn't matter what you were doing in your past. The moment you turn to the Most High, the moment that you turn and embody, and what that means, turn to the Most High, the moment that you turn and embody who you want to be, you are that person right now. There's no tally or score that's being kept that's saying, oh, you have said that you were in lack 300 times and only prosperity 200. So once you get 100 more, all of a sudden it'll switch. No, it's just, who are you more conscious of being from now moving forward? Because this moment is the next moment. The next moment is the next moment. Who are you being right now is projected in the future. You automatically change and transition timelines. Okay? You think prosperity right now, you automatically transition timelines. Now you're walking in this prosperous timeline. You still will have other things that show up to you to confront your beliefs, but it's not about reprogramming your subconscious per se. It's more so just how active, how aware are you of being this new person? Oh shit, 20%. Let me see. What if your partner's asleep? You have to make the decision if you want to be there or not. If you want to be there, you have to give them the grace to wake up, knowing that you cannot manage anyone else's spiritual path the same way they can't manage your spiritual path. Right? But shoot, that's a very personal question. I wouldn't say, I don't direct anybody to leave or stay in any situation. I can't tell you what to do. However, you have to make a decision that aligns with you. You can't drag someone to being conscious, but we also have to be very mindful of this question. It's a dangerous question, right? Because the things you believe today, you might not believe in a year. The things they believe today, they might not believe in a year. You might be perfectly in alignment in a year, in 6 months. Right? Now you can plant seeds and say things, but you can't drag anyone to salvation. They couldn't do it for you either. So, you're gonna have to make a decision. Is that worth leaving or not? Okay, y'all used to do YouTube together. Okay, but 5 years after we stopped, and until now, your whole country wants us to continue. Do I think you should do it without them? I have no idea. Why? Okay, maybe I'm missing a part. The whole wants you to continue without them. What do you mean by that? Is somebody telling you to continue without them? Are you trying to continue without them? I might need a more descriptive story. Hey, look, if your mom's asleep, it's the same, right? So if your mother is asleep, it's the same. Some of you, look, we forget that we've chosen a lot of aspects of our life. So before you came down here, you chose your parents for a lot of different reasons. Some of you chose your parents just because the beliefs that your parents had, your soul knew that if you could transcend those beliefs, you could transcend anything. Anything. That's what your soul believed, right? So now you have been caught in the drama and you don't realize how strong you are, how powerful you are, just for being able to reclaim your mind. Being able to reclaim your mind. So, your parents, once you're down here, like, you have to treat them. It gets to a point with our parents that we start to treat our parents like children, right? There's this switch. It's like this Benjamin Button switch where as you get older, your parents are raising you, and then there's a moment where you recognize your parents' mortality. You realize that they're not, infinitely, you realize they're not immortal. They are in a spiritual sense, but not here, right? So your parents, you have to understand, your parents, some of you might have purpose in saving your parents, but most of us don't. Your parents are who they are. They created the environment for you to grow and come into your consciousness, and then they will pass, transition, and come back to learn more lessons. And they were here to give you the lessons that you need to get to who you are today. And so you treat them with the grace and the respect and the love that you would give somebody who created you, right? Just the fact that they laid down and you came out is enough, right? They don't have to do anything else for you. There's nothing that you could do to ever repay them for that, to give you this divine, precious gift of life, harboring you, raising you, right? Giving you your beliefs, giving you your DNA. But if it gets to the point where it is just bothering you too much, then sure, remove yourself. But we still do have to give people the grace and meet people where they're at. I don't think it would be a very fulfilling life for me to walk around and say, I only want to communicate with people that are on the quote unquote exact same level of consciousness. I don't even know what that is. My beliefs could change tomorrow. They could change in a week. I could have another revelation and go back to a different state of being or move forward in a different state of being. Who's to say that what I believe is my truth right now will still be my truth in 10 years, in 5 years? So I meet people and I try not to allow my ego to get in its way. You can have very fulfilling relationships with people. They don't have to be, studying the exact same books as you or in the same field as you. This is just part of our humanity, is that we are all God. Whether we believe somebody is awake or not, they are still God. They are experiencing life as God. They're going through the perspective, or they're going through the experience that's specific to their soul, to their awakening, to their enlightenment, right? And when we judge others, we believe that we're on some kind of pedestal and that we're greater than them, when that in itself is an illusion, right? No one is greater than anyone, not in the kingdom, right? Nobody is spiritually ranked over another. That's more so an illusion. What good has that done for us to think that certain people are spiritually ranked higher than others? What good has that done for us in our society? None. Can't think of anything good that's come from that. All right, so we all have the same ability to connect with Source. We all have the ability to wake up overnight or go back to sleep overnight, right? So, we give our fellow human the same grace that the God within us has given us. The God within you is still there, loving you unconditionally, whether you wake up or not. Whether you choose to acknowledge him or not, whether you say that he's fake or not, he's still love. Same grace we have to give to our fellow human. In my opinion, right? In my opinion. Did I have an awakening? I had several, man, but I can't really pinpoint one specific time So I would say it was gradual. I would say my first true mystical experiences were pretty profound and left me pretty shocked and shaken and scared, right, to say the least. But my experience came from two things. Number one was I was in a fire in 2014. I was in a fire, and in the time where I was in the hospital, I had a lot of thoughts about revelations about my life. And then I went through a experience where this woman that I was with passed away, and then I had some revelations there. That one really did it for me because that's what led me to have experiences where I was communicating with her while she wasn't here anymore, while she transitioned, and I got a lot of clarity on who I was. But just getting to that point was a long path, 6-7 years of work, of chasing knowledge. And even when I had that, what I tried to do after that awakening was I chased the feeling, right? I chased psychedelics. I was on a lot of psychedelics. I just meditated my life away, and just on the pursuit of knowledge. But then even after that, it wasn't until I truly started letting go that I came into a greater understanding of who I was, why I was here, right? And then actually settled into, what I'm doing now. I appreciate that question. If you win a lottery, let me get $1. If you win a lottery, let me get $1, man. Now, if you win, congratulations. Oh, shoot, let me read this. Okay, would you say you have to be conscious all day because there's periods where you just go on autopilot, but because you've changed your perspective, you assume there's no harm on not being conscious? It's true. It's all about your assumptions and your awareness, right? So if you are going unconscious, we all bet. If you're going unconscious and your thoughts are spiraling into negativity, okay, that's one thing. But if you have the firm belief that because I'm going unconscious, it doesn't matter, like I am who I say I am no matter what, then that's what it is, right? But my approach is this is a game of consciousness. I would prefer to confront my reality and confront everything as often as possible, so I'm always in the position to choose. Because when you're going unconscious, sometimes you can catch yourself and can spiral for a long time, man. So I know that every moment is going to present me something new, some new belief, right? Whether it's from a comment, whether it's for something my parent texts me, whether it's something that I see, everything is a belief that I'm confronting. So the more conscious I am, the more in control I can be over my reality as a whole, right? I can keep my state of consciousness high, and I don't allow that veil to go down, all right? I liken consciousness to driving. If you've been on the same path so long that all of a sudden you can drive and you can allow your mind to just start wandering, who knows what you're daydreaming in that time. And then also, who knows what trouble that you can put yourself in, right? Because maybe, damn, what was that? Who knows what trouble you can put yourself in because you can swerve, you can go off the road, right? You can go off of the quote unquote righteous path. Somebody can say something, you can truly react to it. So I prefer to stay conscious, but it is always about your underlying belief of who you are being. If you are someone that believes no matter what, my main thing is working out, okay, cool. That is going to happen no matter what you do. You can drive the car consciously, unconsciously, it's still going to happen. But when you want to start creating in all aspects of your life, right? Well, now it might be a little bit more important to focus, to focus on your consciousness from moment to moment. So that's what I would say. And about the expectations not showing up, even if you're keeping the faith, my answer on that was this. It's about the story that you're telling right now. Okay? So if I'm telling the story that I'm doing all the techniques, I'm staying conscious, I'm staying positive, I'm doing all this, I'm affirming, but nothing is changing, my reality instantly has to reflect that back at me and say, yeah, you're right, nothing is changing because you just decreed it. Thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. Everything is always changing because you're changing. You just haven't seen it. So yes, everything is changing. I just haven't seen it yet. Everything is changing. I've just been missing it because I'm too busy enjoying my life. Right, which is a much better affirmation and a belief, which actually puts you in alignment of what you want. So that is the answer right there. It's always about who you are being. This is the story of the pool of Bethesda. When all the crippled people are around the pool and Jesus said, why, or do you want to be healed? And because all the people thought that there was an angel that stirred the water in the pool, and the first person who got in got healed, they were saying, oh yeah, of course I want to be healed, but I have nobody to take me to the pool. What the stirring in the pool represents is external circumstances. We're waiting on things to change out there, to see some stirring, to see a breadcrumb, to see something telling us that it's changing, and then all of a sudden we will have faith more. But that's not how it works. The external world can't validate you. You validate yourself. You're the one who validates everything. You're the one who walks through life and say, I am the one who changes things. Because I am different, reality must fold to me. Reality must bend to me. All right, if you win that lottery, bro, Belize it is. You win that jackpot, Belize it is. Actually, I was going to take a trip out last year, matter of fact, but it just fell through. I'm glad it fell through because I was actually planning it with this woman that I'm no longer dealing with, right? But so I need to make a trip out there with myself. Good evening, good evening. Yeah. There are a lot of people who don't do any subconscious work and get all they desire. Think about it. I want you to really pay attention to this. You are the one who makes the rules. The only reason that you believe you need subconscious work is because you believe that you need subconscious work, because someone has told you that. You don't need anything but who you are aware of being right now. Who you are aware of being right now is what creates your reality. You don't need to reprogram your subconscious mind. You don't need to do any of that. You simply need to be aware that things are changing. The more that you put conditions on what you have to do, that is the more that you need to do those things. You are the author. You are the creator. Right? You are the blueprint, right? It is about who you are being right now. You can create as many more rules as you want because you are God, because you are source, because you're the author of this reality. There's nobody else walking through this reality but you, right? Keep in mind, a lot of these talks are just meant to reintroduce you to your power. Once you step out, you're going to start making new rules for yourself, reducing certain rules, right? But the key part of this is understanding that you are the divine. Doing the research, looking around at your life and realizing that everything is a reflection of you. Everything is a reflection of you. Realizing it's just your expectations being thrown in your face. It's just your beliefs being thrown in your face. You're never a victim of anything. Okay? There's no, the mysterious subconscious mind, it doesn't keep tally. It accepts everything. It accepts everything that you say. But what you receive in life is what you are conscious of expecting the most. So if anything, think of your subconscious mind as just what are you the most conscious of being. If you have 2 hours of being unconscious, but you have 8 hours of being conscious and knowing that your prosperity, your subconscious is automatically reprogrammed. You're good. Right? Don't make this more complex than it is. People are the way that they are in your life because you expect them to be that way. There's certain people that you say, okay, they're going to react negatively if I say this. They're going to react positively if I say this. It's just based on your belief and your expectation. There's certain people that you're going to text and you're like, oh, they're probably not going to answer. They won't. Certain people that you know, oh, they're going to be blowing up my phone. Oh, they can't go without me. You already know this. Your expectation determines how things show up. What I'm saying is focus on your expectations. Manage your expectations. Stay conscious. Walk in faith, knowing that everything that you expect has to come. This is law. This is divine, universal law. Beautiful, divine, universal law. No, shoot, you don't. That's what I've been. Look, that is true. You don't have to do anything to get everything that you desire. The moment that you accept that it's happening, it is unfolded from within you. The path to walk there is already there. It's already created in front of you. You already have it. You are just walking down the path of realizing it. You're walking down this linear timeline to learn yourself more on the way to get there. That's law. Everything that you've been taught is backwards. This isn't a game of hustle. This is a game of alignment, of trust, of faith, of knowing, of enjoyment, of fulfillment. And it's all fulfillment. Whatever you expect happens. It is truly a game of fulfillment. It's not a game of hustle. None of that. The path is illuminated from within you, and you walk that divine path moment by moment and get you exactly where you want to be. I like that question too. So how do you change your expectations when you're so conditioned to base them off your past, one moment at a time? That's it. One moment at a time. This is how a lot of the parables have taught us, right? Is that this is the parable of the prodigal son. I've said this a lot, but let me say this in a different way today, because I think this will help answer this question. The prodigal son is all metaphorical. It's a story that Jesus told. There was a son, and this son was taken care of by his father. The father represents the God within you. And one day, the son said, give me everything that's owed to me. I'm going to go off into the world. And the son walks away. He goes in the world. This can represent a whole bunch of things. Being conditioned by the world, growing up in the world, forgetting that we are gods, descending into matter, into this third dimensional reality, and walking around and getting all this programming, right? The son gets so low that at a certain point, he is taking care of pigs. Pigs represent the bottom of the bottom, the lowest of the low. So in spiritual texts, when we talk about pigs, we're talking about just a very low place. And he got to a point where he was looking at the pigs and saying, I wish that I could eat what they're eating. This is how low he got. So we can think about this spiritually, morally, whatever. So you're conditioned by the world. You leave the God within you. You're conditioned by the world. Then you're in these low places. You're doing all these things. Keep in mind, pigs are known to house the souls of humans. That's why they're unclean to eat. Cursed humans get brought back as pigs. Okay? So you're doing all of these quote unquote unholy, ungodly, morally corrupt things. And you've been programmed to the world. Now, the son says, you know what? I don't even want to go back to my father as a son. I'll just be a servant. Because even the servants have enough food to eat. And they have it left over. So it says that the son immediately turned back to his father. Now, what does it say after that? It says, while he was still a way off, while he was still far away, far off, we think of this in terms of distance. But what this actually means is morally. We think that we're far off with our conditioning. We think we're far off because we've been out in the club and drinking and smoking and, doing people wrong and cheating and lying and stuff. We think that there's some ledger. We believe that we're going to get to the pearly gates and there's going to be this ledger that reads off our right and wrongs. Okay? When we are the ones that judge. All right, but anyways, back to the story. So while he was far off, his father immediately went out and greeted him. This is symbolic of what? The God within you. The Father within you. And he gave him three things. Number one, he gave him his ring, which represents his authority. So the moment that you accept, okay, boom, the God is within me, I have my authority back. Number two, he gives back his robe, his identity, you're a child of the divine again. And number three, he gives him his shoes. So your path is made illuminated again. It's made perfect again. The purpose of this story is to illustrate that it doesn't matter how far we are off, how much conditioning we had. It is about a single moment stacked on top of another moment. You can only change your life one moment at a time. And today is the moment. And the ring represents his actual authority. So the ring represents his authority. You can command reality by knowing that God is within you. The robe represents your identity. You are a son, a daughter of the Most High, because son is not a gender title in the Bible, right? And then also his shoes. Your path is made perfect again. When we're out there trying to change matter as matter, making all the matter our false idols, identifying with the matter, okay, boom, we can't have that perfect path. But when we actually step in our divinity and understand that I am source, now I can speak from my authority as source. I can speak from my identity as source, and my path is made perfect as source. So it's not that we have all of this programming to do, it's that we have one moment. What are you declaring in this one moment? It doesn't matter what you've done. This is what scripture says, verily, verily, I say to you, whatsoever you ask in the Father's name shall be given to you. Hitherto you've asked nothing. Until now you've asked for nothing. Meaning, it doesn't mean for 5 years you've asked, and it means it doesn't matter what you've done or said forever. For the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, it doesn't matter. What are you conscious of now? So it's not a game of trying to reprogram shit. It's a game of being conscious right now and not letting our consciousness down. You pull up your consciousness, and this is the same as pulling that veil off of you. You pull the veil off, and now you see clearly as God, as source. Right? You don't need to do a whole bunch of work to get over the programming. Right? You expect different now just because you're conscious and you say you've expected. Now, expectation, don't think of expectation as a feeling. Think of it as a declaration, something that you decree. Right? Don't think of your conditioning as something that is daunting. Think of it just as a choice. Yes, I've been conditioned to think this way, but right now I choose to expect differently. And now I stay conscious. And any time I find myself slipping and expecting something different, my consciousness brings it back, brings it right back. This is your power. Your power is in your consciousness. It is in your awareness. And when you do this over time, then all of a sudden it becomes second nature. To where now all of a sudden you're thinking more positive. You're walking as more your true source self. Okay? But it's a simple decision that you make one moment at a time. Okay? You can't jump a year ahead. Right? You can't jump 1 year into the future and change things. You have to change things one moment at a time. You only have right now. This is the only moment that you have. This is it. This is the only moment that matters. It's the only moment that matters. How to set boundaries on freaks and family for you. Hey, those are your kids. Shit, those are your kids. You set them boundaries however you need. So even if you gotta look, y'all can't see him if you're gonna feed him stuff that I don't want him to eat. How to set boundaries is interesting. How bad do you want to set them? Sometimes we think of boundaries as bargaining chips. I'll talk about this from a relationship perspective. Maybe this will make sense. Hopefully this will make sense, right? Is that we often walk into situations thinking that our boundaries are what's going to change people. Am I freezing? I might be. My battery's low as shit. So I might be freezing. I said I was going to go until my battery dies. No, I still got 8. I still got a crazy 8. But oftentimes we go into to relationships thinking that we are going to give people our boundary and that's going to make them change, when really we have to enforce them. Now, it's different with family because oftentimes you can't just walk away. But what you can do is limit access. It is going to be to limit access, right? If you have a certain belief that is strong enough not to want your child to eat a certain food, shit, you have to enforce that. And you have to enforce that by any means. Look, if y'all are going to do this, no. If y'all are going to do this, then, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to limit access. Which is fair. Which is very fair. It's the same way that your parents would have done you. And the same way that your kids are going to do their kids, even with you. If they have a different belief, they're going to look at you and say, look, Ma, look, Dad. Nah, we not finna, my kids don't eat this. So if y'all eat this, don't give it to them. Or wait till they leave and then y'all can eat it. And nah, I don't eat meat. I do not eat meat. Don't eat that meat, man. I don't really even focus on protein. I don't think about it. I just eat fruits and vegetables. Fruits, vegetables. I eat. I just don't eat meat. That's about it. I don't eat processed stuff either. If it comes in a box or a can, I don't eat it. But I don't think of protein. I think more of minerals. Like the minerals that I get. I take mineral supplements. Like I take Shilajit. I take Ormus. No, I don't think about protein at all. I do eat seeds, right? Like pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. I eat certain nuts as well. Cashews, I like cashews. Walnuts, all that, almonds. Even when I make like meat type foods, like tacos and stuff, I use nuts, like cashews, right? So what I actually do is I'll just blend up like cashews and mushrooms. Cashews and like it depends what kind of mushroom I want, like a blue oyster or a shiitake. I like lion's mane as well. Blend it up and I just cook it like meat. I'll season it like meat and then I'll put it on, some lettuce wraps, make a salsa and eat it like that. But I don't even think about protein. I've had lectures on that. I think protein is a myth. It's just amino acids. You get amino acids for anything. What really got me off of meat is the estrogen and all the preservatives in it, right? When I really started thinking, and then I had I had a trip where I couldn't eat meat for a while after I had that trip for a lot of reasons. But even the smell just turned me off for a while. But just the thought of the processing of meat, right? Like if you see an animal get killed in the street, it goes rotten quick, right? Quick. But they take that animal and they kill it. They shove it with preservatives and drain it, chop it up, put dye in it to make it look good, then ship it across the country, and then sit it in this refrigerated section that gives the illusion that it's okay. And then you put it in the freezer, and it's like, damn. I know that all this food is not good anymore, man. I'm just eating it, right? And even eating it, do you really enjoy the taste of meat? Do you just eat meat without seasoning? Or do you truly enjoy the seasoning and all that? And so I literally just stopped eating meat cold turkey one day. Me and this woman I was with at the time, we just stopped eating it together. Like, okay, we're done eating meat. We stopped. She went back. I never went back. But we didn't work out anyway. It was short-lived. The interesting thing, though, also is I think when I was first getting into it, I was doing it for the consciousness. But same with retention. I was doing retention for consciousness purpose, right? But and I found myself getting real judgmental, which you can make the argument, what is worse, like eating the food or judging others for eating it? Which one does more damage to your spirit? Debatable. Guess we'll never know, right? But anytime that we start operating from this ego place when it comes to our spirituality, it's always time to take a look in the mirror and be like, all right, bro, why are you really judging other people? And like now, my beliefs are different. I don't mind people eating meat around me. I'm not gonna eat it, but it doesn't impact what you attract into your life, right? Of course, there's benefits I believe to my body, but I also understand the difference genetically of people. Like, so I'm black. I'm a carbon being. I'm melanated, right? So we have 3 times as many cells as non-melanated folks. Our bodies react differently. We have certain minerals that we're more compatible with, right? So there are going to be certain diets that I'm more prone to, and there's diets that other people are more prone to. Does it make us better or worse? No, of course not. It's just biology, right? So it's also about the diet that makes you feel good. We've all been sleeping with each other, right? It'd be very rare to find someone that's just pure. Pure-blooded anything, but everybody messing with everybody, right? So, because your DNA changes just from sleeping with someone else, just from sleeping with somebody outside of your race, right? They told us that we're all the same, but which is true to an extent, but it's also not true, right? So, there are going to be different foods that make you feel more energetic, some that make you feel more sluggish. There are going to be certain things that you consume or do that you're just not going to feel right spiritually doing. And so it's up to you to make that decision. For me, I don't feel as bad eating meats that I do eating like breads, like heavy bread. Make me feel worse, more sluggish. Right? But for some people, it was the meat. And even when I first cut out meat, I felt a lot better, but I was still eating a whole lot of bread and shit. Right? Like, I'm still eating a cheese pizza, but saying, oh, yeah, I'm vegan. Right? It's like, okay, you're just not eating meat. It's just not eating meat, because how do they make that bread? Right? So it's just about paying attention to our body, understanding that your body is the tool that the divine walks through this life in. This is your weapon. Your body is your weapon. All right, so you want this to be in good shape. You want your mind to be sharp, and food impacts your mind. All right, you only get one body to travel through this incarnation in. You might as well take care of it for as long as you can. Take care of it for as long as you can. Yeah, body is for sure the temple. For sure the temple. Both. Sleeping with let me see. So outside of race, so sleeping with somebody in general, I mean, that impacts your life force. Let me put it like this, right? Okay. There's two ways to think about this. So I have to go a little bit more in depth to really answer that in a responsible way. Anytime that you lay down with somebody who does not care about you, you're damaging yourself. You're draining your life force. So let me talk about this from a male perspective. A woman's womb is very cleansing, but this goes both ways though. Okay, not this part, but the end of this. I'll explain it. Woman's womb is very cleansing. A woman has a cycle once a month in alignment with the moon, magical than a motherfucker, right? But not only do they clean out physically, they clean out spiritually. So the womb is intelligent. The womb is connected to the cosmos. You go in there, you shoot it up, and a new avatar is created, and a soul jumps into the fetus. Okay, this is a divine portal, just like your wood is a magic wand. So a woman's body is intelligent enough to know that it has to expel spiritually and physically. Now, a woman is going to be the emotional and spiritual center of the home. The man is the spiritual lead. The woman is the emotional and the spiritual center. So women can take on a lot of emotions. This is why even when you communicate with your woman, she can hold on to energy different. You might say something to your woman, and it's not even a big deal. You just tell her it just to give her a heads up that this is going on. And later on, 3 days later, it's gone out of your mind. But she brings it up and she seems more stressed than you. And you're like, no, it's cool. My bad. Right? So we have to be conscious of the type of information and how we share things with our women. Also, you have to think of the nature of women. Women are vented to by the children, by their friends, by their family, by all these people, right? So they store all of this energy within them. We even handle emotions different. Venting differently, right? Your woman comes to you with a problem. You immediately want to take the problem, put it in front of you, solve it, knock it out. The woman consumes energy, consumes problems, holds on to things differently, right? Because she's an emotional receiver. The feminine energy is more emotionally receptive than the masculine energy, which is more directing and it's more out there trying to fix it and get it out the way. All right, so all this energy that is stored is released during her cycles. Now, what happens if you enter a woman who doesn't care about you? The womb knows this woman doesn't care about you. You become part of her cleansing. So she can dump energy on you. So yeah, the sex could be good, but you could get up feeling more drained. Same way that women, you let a man sleep with you that don't really like you, you can leave the situation feeling more drained. Y'all are just dumping energy on each other. It's just a competition, spiritual competition, who can dump more on another. So it can leave you spiritually, emotionally depleted from that aspect. Now, okay, from a race perspective, your body, because of the amount of cells you have, because of the minerals within your body has a vibration. The main mineral in, I think, white people is zinc, I believe. What is it in black people, man? Anyways, we have two different main minerals. We have different frequencies, different vibrations, right? This is a life. This is a game of vibration. This is a game of frequency. So if you lay down with somebody who is outside of your race, y'all are just mixing frequencies. Even if you look at studies, you can see, certain mixtures of races. And I'm not condemning anything. I'm just talking science, right? Certain mixtures of races produce certain type of mutations in the cells. Mutation doesn't necessarily mean something bad, but you can actually go and do research and you'll see when certain groups lay together, their kids are more prone to certain things, certain mutations that could lead to certain ways of thought, certain depressions, right? Certain other types of things as well. So it's just an interesting piece of information. Yeah, we're all people. Yes, we are all quote unquote humans, right? But we have different substances, right? As carbon beings, as black beings, we have neuromelanin. Other races don't have neuromelanin. Not all. A lot of other races don't have neuromelanin. This is the same substance that's throughout the cosmos. We take the sun differently. We have different diets. We have different amount of cells. We have 3 times as many cells as non-melanated beings, right? So all of this is just biology. It's something interesting to take note of. Now, with that being said, I was down the path for a while where, certain information can make you feel superior, right? But really, we are all still God incarnate here, trying to go through this life experience. When it comes to this spiritual ego, I always ask, what benefit has it done any group to believe that they're superior than another? When has that ever done humanity any kind of good for any group to think that they're better than the other or worse than the other, right? So we're all down here to experience life, to create, to choose, right? These are just interesting things. So all right. When we're talking about polarity and frequency, they're 2 different things. So when we're talking about frequency, we're actually talking about like hertz, like 2 different frequencies. We're vibrating at different hertz, right? Like different tones, like a radio station is at different frequencies. When we're talking about polarity, we're talking about like masculine and feminine. We're talking about polarities attract, right? The neutral polarity attracts, and then a more masculine man would attract like a more feminine woman. So we're talking about that kind of polarity. We can think of attraction in 2 ways. Number 1, we can think about it in polarity, masculine, feminine. And then we can also just think of like attracts like. So we have to be mindful. Are we talking like attracts like, or are we talking about the actual polarity scale? So when we talk about like attracts like, we're talking about frequency. When we're talking about polarity, that's more like opposites attract, but that's more so when it comes to genders. Right? It's not necessarily, and that really doesn't have anything to do with race. Polarity, masculine, feminine. I mean, that's all through the races. That has nothing to do with it. That makes sense. How to cut them soul ties, man. A soul tie is actually a beneficial thing. All right, think about a soul tie like this. We haven't always had cell phones. So you haven't always been able to just pick up the phone and call your woman when you're out of town and make sure she's cool. So one of the purposes of sex is sex actually opens up an etheric tunnel between partners. The woman and man, there's a tunnel created in between them. This allows information to flow. Have you ever noticed that you sleep with somebody and all of a sudden y'all communicate better or worse, right? Or you don't like each other as much. But let's talk about it from a positive perspective. There have been certain times where you lay down with somebody and all of a sudden you're just more relaxed with them. You can communicate with them differently. You can read them better. You can feel them in a different way. This is a soul tie. A soul tie is just a tunnel. It's not good or bad, okay? So it's a soul tie, and now all of a sudden you can create information. If this man was off at war, the woman could have a feeling that he's not coming back or that he is coming back, okay? Or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? You could have the village is getting invaded. Is my woman okay? We have a more psychic connection, which is necessary when you have a child. This is beautiful when it's one. When it's multiple, it can be a problem. Why? Because the definition of marriage is 2 people become one, right? And so marriage isn't signing papers or doing vows, marriage is sex. Spiritually, marriage is sex. Two become one. You have a soul tie. Y'all are one person. Now, what happens when two people become one is now your thoughts are pointed in the same direction. So have you ever noticed you might get with somebody, and when you get with somebody, well, you're just feeling good and blissful and life is good and sweet, and all of a sudden your money is a little bit longer. Life seems better. The flowers seem brighter. Things start flowing to your life better. Why is that? Right? It's because all of a sudden your vibration is rising a little bit, right? But also, this person sees the best in you. You'll have goals together. So now you have two minds pointed in one direction, right? And what is prayer? Prayer is any thought, but we also know, based on scripture, when more than one person join in prayer, it's more powerful, right? So a soul tie is very important. This is why we say one purpose of sex is to have a child. What's the other purpose? To manifest, to create. That is the purpose of sex. But if you're just doing it for fun, you're just creating soul ties. So now what happens? At one point in time, these two people were on the same page. Then they break up, and this one dude is trying to be successful, and this woman's looking at him like, this fucking bum. He's never finna do anything, or vice versa. Now you have become a double-minded man. Now you have your mind going in different places, right? So that's just some background. Now, how to actually eliminate soul ties? It's easy. You just call back your energy. That's it. You don't have to do any kind of ceremony or do any kind of cord cutting and light a candle and recite myths and hymns. That's the old way of magic, all the symbolism, right? We're just working with the mind. What are you conscious of and aware of right now? Thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. Whatever you decree is law. Call your energy back. I call my energy back from any soul tie that I know, any tunnel that I have with any woman that I remember or don't. I call all that shit back right now. No one has power to control my reality but me. Done. Done. Soul tie eliminated. Now walk forward and be your divine self. Yeah, yeah. You could think of it as same but different. Same but different. Same but different. All right, phone just died. So that is it. I'm finna end this one up on this streaming platform, and then we can go. So just for a couple affirmations, man, I see you all as divine, as perfect, as in alignment with everything that you want. Everything that you want is on its way to you. Matter of fact, it's already there. You're just walking down the path of experiencing it. Know that because you have changed, now reality is changed. Because you have changed, reality is different, it's better, it's beautiful, it's blissful. Right? And all you have to do is stay conscious of yourself, right? Stay divine, stay prosperous. If you don't see yourself as those things, it's cool, because I see you as divine and as prosperous anyway, so I know that it must be true. Know it must be true. Y'all have a beautiful, beautiful evening. I'll probably talk to y'all again tomorrow, God willing. I appreciate y'all's time today.